Time grinds forward, relentless and unforgiving. We meet our protagonist, Xu Xiaowen, age 24. His eyes reflect a life already full of weariness. He prepares for the daily grind, just trying to get by. His current job is that of a simple delivery rider. He descends from his cramped apartment into the world below. And of course, the landlords are waiting to collect the rent. Kicked out by his parents, he has no other options. A new order pops up, a brief distraction from his troubles. As night falls, he accepts the job, unaware of what's coming. Xu Xiaowen rides through the desolate city streets. Suddenly, a fiery figure blazes past him in pursuit. A thug flees down the alley, mocking the hero's power. But the flame wielder just smiles, ready to prove him wrong. The criminal is engulfed in flames, a lesson learned too late. Onlookers debate if these heroes bring peace or just more chaos. Their debate is cut short by a massive explosion nearby. Another hero swings in, saving a damsel with a bit too much flair. He lands with a flourish, striking a pose for the stunned crowd. The grateful woman thanks her rescuer, a new celebrity born. The hero milks the moment, asking for a 5-star rating. As the hero swings away, Xu Xiaowen continues his mundane ride. He pulls up to a noodle shop for his next delivery. The friendly owner expresses concern over his few daily orders. He praises Xu Xiaowen's skill, saying he could be the best. But the words "the first" strike a nerve deep and cold. The shopkeeper is stunned by the sudden shift in mood. Xu Xiaowen just snatches the order and peels out. So much for a tip. His inner thoughts reveal a terrible curse from his past lives. He's doomed to excel, to become number one at any cost. He recalls the absurd, comical ways his curse has claimed him. In his last life, he was an all-powerful immortal emperor. He believed he was invincible, beyond the reach of fate. But the universe has a very twisted sense of humor. The mightiest immortal taken out by a common melon seed. So this time, his grand plan is to be utterly mediocre. He just wants to live a quiet, uneventful life until he's 80. But of course, trouble comes running right to his doorstep. A woman in distress leaps right over his head. She unleashes a flying kick, but Xu Xiaowen is just over it. She lands perfectly on his shoulders, a rather awkward predicament. The impact sends them both tumbling to the unforgiving pavement. Xu Xiaowen tries to process what just happened, his head ringing. The woman explains her desperate situation, begging for his help. She clarifies these aren't just thugs, but superpowered criminals. For a brief moment, her expression shifts to one of annoyance, but she quickly resumes her act, pleading for him not to leave her. While she fears for her life, our boy is doing financial planning. He coldly tells her he's just trying to stay out of her mess. Stunned, she asks if he can read minds, but he just wants to finish his shift. And right on cue, her pursuer steps out from the shadows, promising pain. He's Lim Kui, a level 4 criminal with frost abilities, here to collect a debt. He scoffs at the sight of Xu Xiaowen, dismissing him as useless. She urges him to escape, but Xu Xiaowen just wants her to get off his bike. Desperate, she grabs his shirt, refusing to let him leave her behind. But our boy is a man of principle, agreeing that debts should be paid. The thug warns him to mind his own business, a suggestion Xu Xiaowen is happy to take. He agrees immediately, leaving the woman utterly speechless at his cowardice. But his simple compliance somehow enrages the thug, who feels disrespected. He declares himself the boss of this area, his frost powers beginning to manifest. Xu Xiaowen sighs, completely over this unnecessary drama. The thug, Lim Kui, is momentarily stunned by his nonchalance. In the blink of an eye, he's left holding an empty shirt. Xu Xiaowen reappears, his patience finally worn thin. He unleashes a devastating kick right to the thug's jaw. The impact is brutal, shattering teeth and drawing blood. Lim Kui is sent flying backward down the dark alley. So much for being the boss of this particular area. But the frost wielder isn't done, summoning an ice shield. He looks up to see a terrifying power ready to devour him. With blinding speed, Xu Xiaowen follows through with his kick. The blow shatters the ice shield in a fiery, devastating explosion. From the thug's perspective, his reign as boss is officially over. But a sudden, urgent thought strikes Xu Xiaowen. His delivery. The woman is stunned that a level 4 user was defeated in one move. As he rushes off, she watches with a newfound intense curiosity. She pulls out a device, running a scan on the departing rider. The combat effectiveness test returns a single frustrating question mark. She's left completely baffled, wondering who this person could be. But our boy is just thinking about his greedy landlord raising the rent. The sudden demand for 3 months' rent shatters his plans. He crunches the numbers, the weight of his debt settling in. The sheer number of deliveries required is utterly absurd. He's haunted by his landlord's suggestion to get a roommate. Desperate for cash, he posts an ad for a roommate online. But the fear of his curse holds him back from any real effort. He recoils in horror, his curse dictating his every move. And just like that, a reply pops up. Well, that was fast. He wonders if his curse is already at work again. The potential roommate provides an address and a meeting time. The single reply sits on his screen, a beacon of hope or doom. He immediately regrets his decision, considering deleting the post, but the thought of rent money forces him to reconsider. He heads out into a city that's just another Tuesday of superhero chaos. He reflects on his curse, knowing any path could lead to unwanted greatness. He recalls a past life as an artist, just trying to help a friend. But his art was so good it literally broke the internet. And then him. The memory is a stark reminder of why he must remain mediocre. His new goal, survive the day without accidentally becoming the best at anything. He waits for the potential roommate, the meeting now just half an hour away. Xu Xiaowen climbs the stairs, already calculating the profits. He sees this as a blessing, a solution to his money problems. But his happy thoughts are cut short by a shocking sight. Standing at the top of the stairs is his potential roommate, and it's none other than the woman he saved just the other night. The two of them quickly realize this is no coincidence. But she's not here to rent a room, she's here for him. Our boy, ever the fan of minding his own business, is not impressed. She explains her high-tech detector malfunctioned because of him. She lays out her tragic backstory, hoping for some sympathy. But Xu Xiaowen remains unmoved, telling her to handle her own debts. She clings to him, playing the victim card, but he's not buying it. He threatens to call the police, but she knows they're powerless here. A confident smirk spreads across her face. She has the upper hand. She reveals her true purpose, suspecting he's a powerful, unregistered user. She deduces that his humble life must be hiding a massive secret. Xu Xiaowen's eyes turn cold, suggesting a permanent way to keep that secret. But his threat is completely ignored as she picks out her new room. She's already making plans to redecorate his rundown apartment. Our boy is left fuming, his warning falling on deaf ears. Xu Xiaowen is horrified as his new roommate starts undressing. She makes herself comfortable, claiming this is her home now, too. He warns her of the risks, but she reveals a surprising truth. He's stunned to learn she's a high-ranking section head. She confirms her title, enjoying his complete and utter shock. A section head in this rundown place? Seems perfectly legitimate? She switches tactics, begging him to take her money and rent her the room. Xu Xiaowen's resolve begins to crumble under the pressure. The sight of the cash is a powerful, undeniable argument. Defeated, he accepts the deal, and his chaotic new life begins. Xu Xiaowen is momentarily stunned by her forwardness. She lies back, making a rather tempting, if unprofessional, offer. The night deepens, hinting at the adult's business she has in mind. She continues her attempt to lure him into her mysterious proposal, but Xu Xiaowen is having absolutely none of it. Unfazed, she insists this could solve many of his problems. She dangles a cryptic warning about the fate of the first. Her words hit their mark, and suddenly, he's very interested. She simply says a little investigation goes a long way. The implication is clear, and he accuses her of stalking him. She explains her job was tracking suspicious subjects just like him. Xu Xiaowen stands firm, refusing to be coerced by her knowledge. He misinterprets her offer, flustered by her suggestive approach. Our boy loses his composure, demanding she stop being so cryptic. But her adult business was simply about making a lot of money. Xu Xiaowen is left completely baffled by the sudden turn of events. She reveals her theory. His power is an unheard-of level 6. And she knows he fears the association's tests would prove he is the first. She offers him a deal, work with her and join without any ranking. But Xu Xiaowen is suspicious, asking why she would help a stranger. She admits her motive is simple and pure, cold, hard cash. She lays out the terms, a base salary plus a 50-50 split on all bonuses. He questions her trust, but she counters with a thinly veiled threat. She frames it as the perfect deal, a win for everyone involved. But their negotiation is cut short by a sudden knock at the door. He moves to answer, expecting his landlord to be on the other side. But standing in the doorway is someone he's never seen before. She introduces herself as Wang Yike, here to answer his roommate Ad. Xu Xiaowen is completely floored by her sudden appearance. She explains she found his address and decided to just show up. Xu Xiaowen tries to play it cool, claiming he just missed her message. He invites her in to see the place if she doesn't mind the mess. Internally, he's just relieved he deleted the post before his curse made it famous. Wang Yike steps inside, taking in her potential new home. She's already sold on the place, asking which room she can claim. But from the shadows of another doorway, a figure emerges. His first roommate appears, asking who's disturbing her peace. Wang Yike is taken aback, wondering if this is the landlord's girlfriend. But the woman is surprisingly welcoming, insisting she rent the room. She introduces herself as Lin Miao Miao, another brand new tenant. Xu Xiaowen suddenly warns the two women to step back. They look on in confusion, unsure what he means. In the next second, the apartment wall is blown to pieces. The women scream in terror as the room is torn apart. Xu Xiaowen explains this is precisely why he told them to move. Through the dust and smoke, a figure emerges from the rubble. A battered man sits up, having been thrown through their wall. Our boy calmly asks if this was some kind of terrorist attack. A new, hulking figure appears, mocking the injured man's low power level. He's here to teach the association a lesson about insubordination. Lin Miao Miao analyzes the intruder, a level 5 criminal. But Wang Yike panics, revealing she's only a level 3. Lin Miao Miao tries to de-escalate, warning him to surrender. She's hoping her bluff about backup will buy them some time. The villain scoffs, unimpressed by her threats against his group. But Lin Miao Miao sees this as a chance to test Xu Xiaowen's power. She turns to find him doing something completely unexpected. Our boy is calmly patching the hole in his wall. Priorities, people. He reflects that his curse has been far too active lately. He tells the women this is an association problem, not his. Lin Miao Miao grabs his shirt, invoking the classic hero's creed. But Xu Xiaowen coldly replies he's just a junior high dropout. Wang Yike warns them that the hulking villain is getting angry. His crimson aura flares as he prepares to end this. He launches his attack, shattering the floor beneath him. The villain soars through the air, promising death to them all. His fist comes crashing down, but Xu Xiaowen's hand stops it cold. Our boy glances back, his expression one of pure annoyance. Lin Miao Miao can only stare, stunned that she was just saved. The villain declares him the first to ever withstand his punch. Xu Xiaowen wonders if all villains use the same tired script. The hulking brute decides it's time to get serious. He activates his power, encasing his arms in steel. He looms over our boy, asking if he's ever seen hell. Xu Xiaowen deadpans that he used to work there, 9 to 5. Enraged, the villain charges forward with blinding speed. He lands a devastating punch right to Xu Xiaowen's face. But our boy is more concerned about who's paying for the damages. The villain roars that there's no need for repairs if he's dead. Xu Xiaowen's eyes glow, warning him never to speak of death. The villain unleashes a furious barrage of steel-hardened fists. But Xu Xiaowen's expression isn't fear. It's something else entirely. He cries out in horror as his beloved couch is destroyed. The carnage continues, claiming his refrigerator next. A man has his priorities. The brute pauses, admitting Xu Xiaowen's evasive skills are impressive. But our boy is just mourning his broken appliances in a moment of crisis. The villain's final warning is cut short by a hand on his face. Xu Xiaowen shoves him back, calculating the cost of the damages. He sends the villain flying with enough force to leave the planet. The two women can only stare as Xu Xiaowen wonders what to do next. While Xu Xiaowen worries about rent, Lin Miao Miao suspects he has a mind-reading power. She realizes she's stumbled upon a hidden treasure, a powerful new ally. Wang Yike confronts her, amazed that a level 5 was defeated so easily. The injured association member finally speaks, demanding to know who Xu Xiaowen is. Xu Xiaowen calmly asks the man when he regained consciousness. The man admits he was awake the entire time, witnessing everything. Lin Miao Miao panics, realizing her colleague saw everything and knows his secret. They immediately start bickering, because that's what roommates do. Wang Yike observes their argument, realizing they want to keep this quiet. Stepping forward, she offers a solution to their little problem. Wang Yike steps forward, her hand glowing with a strange power. She tells the injured man that he is the one who can defeat Lucas. She places a finger on his forehead, her power flowing into him. Xu Xiaowen and Lin Miao Miao watch, surprised by this sudden turn. The man sits dazed, repeating her words like a mantra. She calmly tells him everything is all right, her power still active. She reveals her solution. She's completely rewritten his memory. Lin Miao Miao identifies the power as hypnosis, a rare and unregistered ability. She knows powers like hypnosis and mind reading are highly valued by the association. Lin Miao Miao smirks, realizing their new living arrangement will be interesting. As Xu Xiaowen attempts some impromptu home repair, Lin Miao Miao asks to be let in. He peeks through the hole to find a trio of suited agents at his door. She introduces herself as Jin Shan, secretary of the association's cleaning section. Surprised by their rapid response, Xu Xiaowen lets them inside. She explains her department is responsible for cleaning up the mess heroes leave behind. The crew gets to work, as Jin Shan congratulates Chief Lin on her success. The hypnotized agent is presented as the hero who defeated the villain, Lucas. Jin Shan is understandably skeptical about this sudden power spike. Lin Miao Miao confirms the story, adding that Xu Xiaowen also provided assistance. Jin Shan accepts the official report, noting the bonus will be paid out shortly. But Jin Shan points out a problem. Wang Yike isn't registered. Lin Miao Miao quickly concocts a story to smooth things over. The story is accepted, and the villain is hauled away. As the crew departs, Jin Shan apologizes for the intrusion. She offers him a business card for any future incidents, but Lin Miao Miao steps in, taking control of the situation. Jin Shan agrees, respectfully addressing her as Chief Lin. With the coast clear, Lin Miao Miao invites him to her room. Business, I'm sure. He then asks Wang Yike if she's still interested in renting the place. She apologizes for the chaos, but he just tells her to settle in. He enters her room, unsure of what to expect from this meeting. Meanwhile, Wang Yike watches from afar, her expression unreadable. Xu Xiaowen cuts to the chase, asking what she wants to discuss. She gets right back to their deal, laying out the registration process. But our boy pushes back, reminding her he never actually agreed. Lin Miao Miao reveals she's already set the wheels in motion. She explains that the association is already suspicious of him. He collapses in frustration, but she calls it a golden opportunity. She then sweetens the deal with a very unprofessional offer. Xu Xiaowen is horrified, reminding her of her professional duties. She laughs it off, claiming it was all just a joke. She clarifies her real motive. She needs his power to pay off her debts. She insists this arrangement is mutually beneficial, a deal he can't refuse. She leans in close, her words and actions blurring professional lines. Overwhelmed, he asks for one night to consider her offer. She agrees, but gives him a strict deadline for the next morning. Defeated, he sarcastically agrees to her terms. What other choice does he have? The door clicks shut, leaving him alone with his thoughts. He finally processes the situation. This isn't a deal, it's blackmail. But as he paces, he admits there's some truth to her words. But his contemplation is cut short by a sudden, unwelcome guest. A strange, steaming spider scuttles across his floorboards. Elsewhere, that same arachnide's bite triggers a horrifying transformation. A human leg twists into a monstrous thorny appendage. The spider, marked with a heart, is clearly more than just a simple pest. But our boy's solution is decidedly low-tech and very effective. He cautiously lifts the book, disgusted by the green mess left behind. He just complains about the bugs, oblivious to the chaos he just averted. The story shifts, hinting at a new player entering the game. And in a lavish room somewhere else, a desperate man begs for his life. He offers all the money he has, surrounded by her spider minions. But a hand grips his chin, its owner uninterested in wealth. A terrifying spider woman reveals herself, with a much more personal price in mind. Her swarm of arachnids closes in, a tide of clicking legs. She makes him an offer he literally can't refuse. Her plan involves raising a very unique kind of family, but her enthusiasm wanes as she senses his submissive nature. The man, however, seems to have a sudden change of heart. A very, very weird change of heart. Her disgust is palpable. This was not the reaction she was hoping for. She declares him useless, and his pleas for mercy begin all over again. The man's screams are silenced as the spider swarm consumes him. His eyes go blank, reflecting the horrifying green glow of his demise. In moments, only a skeleton remains, a testament to her power. The spider woman stretches, deciding she'll make his home her new lair. She calls upon her babies to help her change into something more comfortable. A tide of arachnids and green energy begins to reshape her form. The swarm envelops her completely in a swirling, magical vortex. She emerges with a new, far more alluring appearance. She notes this form is necessary to avoid scaring off potential prey. With business done, she sends her children out to fetch some takeout. Her swarm of spiders floods out into the city streets. She settles in, ready to begin her twisted version of a vacation. Meanwhile, a news alert warns of a deadly spider infestation. Xu Xiaowen glances over, still focused on his home repairs. Wang Yike finds the timing of the news a little too convenient. But our boy just writes it off as another Tuesday in this crazy city. He then asks Wang Yike why she's not at her association job. Just then, Lin Miao Miao appears, explaining she got the day off. She immediately gets back to business, cornering him about her offer. And by business, she means getting extremely close and personal. Xu Xiaowen is suddenly pulled into a panicked, desperate embrace. Their brief moment of chaos is cut short as they turn to the real problem. Wang Yike bursts out of her room screaming in absolute terror. The floor is a moving carpet of venomous black spiders. Lin Miao Miao springs into action, stomping the pests into oblivion. She yells at Xu Xiaowen to stop standing there and lend a hand. But our boy is completely frozen, a look of pure horror on his face. Lin Miao Miao can't believe it, asking if he's actually afraid of spiders. Apparently, the man who can punch villains into orbit has a tiny, 8-legged weakness. She pleads for his help again as the tide of arachnids becomes overwhelming. He shoves Lin Miao Miao aside, telling her to get out of the way. but she just watches, calmly asking what he plans to do. In response, Xu Xiaowen unleashes a terrifying wave of fire. A roaring dragon of flame consumes the entire apartment. Lin Miao Miao can only stare in absolute unfiltered shock. With the spiders gone, Xu Xiaowen declares his eternal hatred for them. Lin Miao Miao's mind races, wondering just how many powers he's hiding. Our boy just smirks, teasing her about her own mind-reading skills. Flustered, she storms off, unable to get a straight answer. She realizes she's dealing with someone far more infuriating than she thought. With the fire out, Xu Xiaowen tells his roommates to clean up as he heads to work. Wang Yike emerges from her room, completely baffled by his nonchalant attitude. But Lin Miao Miao stops him, explaining the city's services are shut down. The news of a day off hits our boy harder than any supervillain punch. She shows him the citywide alert, confirming it's a spider infestation. He reads about the mass casualties, his expression growing grim. The pieces click into place. This is more than just a pest problem. He declares a personal vendetta, a war between him and all spider kind. Elsewhere, in a lavish villa, someone lets out a sudden sneeze. The spider woman wonders who could possibly be cursing her name. An association agent crashes through a window, guns blazing. She's Faye, a level 4 secretary here to make an arrest. But the spider woman is unimpressed, lounging casually on the couch. She taunts the agent, asking if she's sure she wants her to disarm. Faye meets her challenge with a confident, unwavering smirk. The villain agrees, as her swarm of spiders begins to emerge. Faye keeps her guns trained, demanding to know what's happening. The spider woman explains her babies are her real weapons. Classic villain logic. With no other choice, Faye leaps forward and fires a devastating shot. She lands a direct hit, confident that the fight is already over. But the bullet dissolves into green energy, stopped by a living shield of spiders. Her babies form an impenetrable defense, absorbing the attack completely. Faye can only stare in disbelief, her confidence utterly shattered. The spider woman taunts her, warning that playtime is officially over. Back at the apartment, Wang Yike admits she barely used any of her power. Xu Xiaowen just blames the previous day's chaos for some loose screws. He calls for Lin Miao Miao, who emerges looking deeply preoccupied. She explains the association has suddenly called her back into service. So much for that day off. She worries about the repair costs before rushing to leave. As she departs, Xu Xiaowen tells Wang Yike to ignore it and focus on home repairs. He suddenly shouts a warning, his arachnophobia kicking back in. Wang Yike leaps into his arms, startled by his sudden outburst. But his fear is quickly replaced by a much different kind of shock. He's momentarily taken out, not by a villain, but by simple human contact. She snaps him out of it, telling him they need to seal the hole. Xu Xiaowen, completely flustered, asks for a bit of clarification. She points to the gaping hole in the wall, the obvious answer to his question. Meanwhile, at the association headquarters, an agent delivers an urgent report. A high-ranking official arrives, asking for an update on Secretary Faye. An agent reports that Faye was seriously injured but is now out of danger. The high-ranking official questions the report on the villain, Arachnne. Her subordinate explains that Arachnne escaped, but was badly wounded. She orders her intelligence section to find the villain immediately. But she's intrigued by how a top agent like Faye could have lost. The elevator doors open, revealing a familiar face. It's Lin Miao Miao, back in her element as a section chief. She immediately puts her colleague to work on a new task. 3 days pass and the city is still on lockdown. The spider infestation has only grown worse, spreading fear. A lone rider spots one of the creatures, his day officially ruined. He declares a personal war on the city's spider infestation. With a look of pure hatred, he prepares to eliminate the first victim. And with a single satisfying crunch, the battle begins. Later, back on the job, he arrives at his next delivery location. The door creaks open, revealing a sliver of the world inside. A man answers, asking for the food while munching on a snack. The exchange is brief and the door is quickly shut in his face. As he turns to leave, a notification dings on his phone. He checks the message, his expression turning to one of disbelief. It's a 1-star review, blaming him for spiders in the hot pot. So much for a tip. But then a moment of pure joy, a 4-star review. He realizes the spiders are helping him avoid his curse of being number 1. He quickly snaps out of it, annoyed that his plan is in shambles. Elsewhere, in a dark alley, the city's true problem festers. The villain Arachnne is wounded, cursing the association for her defeat. She calls upon her babies, hoping their essence will heal her. Her eyes glow red as she demands more from her swarm. But she realizes their life force is far from enough. She decides she needs to find a man and drain him completely. In her monstrous form, she begins her hunt through the city. Xu Xiaowen finds himself at a second-hand market, mourning his broken-down scooter. He calculates the cost, another expense he simply can't afford. But his financial woes are cut short by a sudden, chilling presence. A massive, bladed leg crashes down just inches away from him. The villain Arachnne looms over him, her hunt finally bearing fruit. Our boy is understandably horrified by the giant talking spider lady. She sizes him up, noting he's a bit on the skinny side for her tastes. But she decides he'll do just fine for a quick snack. And suddenly, a memory from a past life flashes through his mind. He recalls being a monk captured by 7 spider demons. Deja vu is a terrible thing. The spider demon tries to tempt the young monk from his sacred path. Her sisters join in, promising him a paradise of earthly delights. But the monk recites his scriptures, trying to resist their allure. His resolve fails and he finds himself their prisoner. The lead demon offers him freedom, but for a very specific price. He braced himself for a test of will, a battle against seduction. But it turns out they just needed a weaving teacher. Seriously. And so, he became the #1 silk weaver in the demon realm. His captors are overjoyed with his masterful craftsmanship. And just like that, his soul is kicked out. Another life, another curse. His beautiful creation was so perfect, it summoned a divine tribulation. Snapping back to reality, he recognizes the familiar form of a spider spirit. Xu Xiaowen puts the pieces together, asking if she's behind the infestation. She scoffs, saying she only eats scum, and offers him a chance for last words. He considers her offer, his mind racing. But his expression hardens, he has nothing to say to her. She makes him a final, crude offer, but he senses the real danger. She explains her venom will give him a painless, hallucinogenic death. How thoughtful. In a flash, something is thrown with blinding speed. The Spider-Woman is caught completely off guard by the sudden attack. The projectile, his own scooter, slams into the ground with explosive force. Arachnne looks around in confusion, wondering where her prey has gone. She stands in the crater, unable to find any trace of him. Suddenly, Xu Xiaowen appears right beside her, much to her shock. He asks a very specific question, wondering if she can produce silk. She completely misinterprets his intentions, thinking he's into something kinky. But our boy is not in the mood for games, grabbing her hand mid-gesture. He uses her own momentum to effortlessly flip her over his shoulder. His eyes burn with a rage that has nothing to do with saving the city. He repeatedly slams her into the ground, demanding an answer. He declares that her ability to spit silk is a crime worthy of death. With the threat neutralized, he calmly walks away from the scene. But his dramatic exit is immediately ruined by a stray soda can. He kicks it away, furious about being tricked into knitting yet again. As he leaves, an unseen figure watches him from the shadows. Elsewhere, news of Arachne's defeat sends shockwaves through the association. Night falls over the city, and over Xu Xiaowen's apartment. Lin Miao Miao returns home, announcing her arrival with a flourish. She explains she just heard Arachnne was defeated right in their neighborhood. Xu Xiaowen admits he's the one who did it, all because of a bad memory. Lin Miao Miao lets out a sigh, completely done with his nonchalance. She asks why he wouldn't mention taking on a high-level villain. Our boy just admits that his hatred for spiders was too strong to resist. She hands him his commission for the Lucas fight, explaining the pay is lower. But Xu Xiaowen isn't listening. His eyes are locked on the cash. He immediately declares he's in, his financial woes overriding all other concerns. With the deal sealed, she tells him to report for training on Monday. That night, Xu Xiaowen tosses and turns, his mind racing. He wakes the next morning, stretching as a new day begins. A quiet moment of contemplation before his new life officially starts. But his quiet morning is interrupted by a strange rustling in his bed. He stares at the lump under the covers, wondering if it's a person. With a deep breath, he cautiously lifts the blanket to investigate, and finds a strange woman passed out right next to him. He immediately drops the blanket, his mind struggling to catch up. His curse-addled brain wonders if this is its latest, most bizarre assassination attempt. The woman begins to stir, asking if it's morning already. She sits up, rubbing her eyes and greeting him by name. Xu Xiaowen is completely stunned that this stranger knows who he is. She then throws herself at him, complaining that she's hungry. He demands to know who this strange woman is. She teases him, implying they shared an intimate night together. Xu Xiaowen panics, insisting on his innocence and telling her to leave. Her expression turns sly, hinting that reality isn't always required. The pieces click into place. He asks if she's a powered user. She breaks into laughter, amused by his naive reaction. He finally loses his cool, demanding to know why she's in his home. A fair question. She calmly introduces herself as Wang Yihan. The name strikes a chord, and he asks about her link to Wang Yike. And right on cue, his other roommate appears at the door. Wang Yike stands in the doorway, completely stunned by the scene. She points a trembling finger, assuming the worst about the two of them. Xu Xiaowen frantically denies everything, but Wang Yihan just greets her sister with a smirk. The revelation hits him. These two are actually related. Later, over a very awkward breakfast, he wonders how they could possibly be sisters. Wang Yihan then makes a rather pointed comment about her sister's development. Our boy is just confused, thinking Wang Yiki looks far too young for this conversation. He questions his own eyesight, not seeing the vast difference she's talking about. But Wang Yike proudly declares her sister is the clan leader with a first-class figure. Xu Xiaowen's internal monologue, however, paints a very, very different picture. Wang Yihan explains that the Phantom Clan can change their forms at will. Xu Xiaowen is confused as she explains their origins as dream seducers. This power is actually a rare form of hypnosis, highly sought after by the association. She stretches, eager to get to know her new roommate. Our boy is less than thrilled. She puts a finger to her lips, a silent, playful invitation. A heart-shaped blast of energy flies from her fingertips. It explodes in a puff of pink smoke right at his feet. She strikes a pose, inviting him to enjoy their time together. The history of the Wang clan is revealed, a matriarchy built on power. And Wang Yihan is their most powerful leader in half a century. Wang Yihan is completely flustered by his lack of interest. She leans in close, asking why he shows no reaction at all. Xu Xiaowen just stares back, asking what she expects from him. She wonders if he's just hiding his true feelings for her sister's sake. But our boy calmly schools her on the diversity of human attraction. Her expression darkens, and Wang Yiki grows visibly nervous. She begs Xu Xiaowen to stop talking before her sister gets angry. But he's already moved on, focused on fixing his broken scooter. Wang Yihan refuses to believe any man could resist her charms. Wang Yike can only watch in horror, pleading with her sister to stop. She decides to prove her point, conjuring her hypnotic power. An arrow of pure energy is formed, designed to trap any man. It strikes Xu Xiaowen directly in the back, a perfect hit. Wang Yike looks on in horror, certain that the fight is over. Xu Xiaowen's vision blurs, the world around him fading away. He finds himself in a strange, unfamiliar purple void. Suddenly, he's surrounded by a sea of tempting apparitions. Wang Yihan appears as the queen of this domain, promising no escape. In the real world, Wang Yike panics, fearing for his sanity. But inside the illusion, Xu Xiaowen is just intrigued. Another Tuesday for the immortal emperor. But inside her own mindscape, Wang Yihan finds his calm demeanor unsettling. Xu Xiaowen simply offers her a casual thumbs up. He even congratulates her on the impressive display. So much for seduction. Furious at being mocked, she promises to make him pay for his arrogance. She unleashes her power, commanding the illusion to consume him. Her technique is designed to slowly drain the willpower of anyone trapped inside. A swarm of her previous victims, now mindless puppets, rushes forward. She declares that his annoying attitude has earned him a permanent place in her collection. But Xu Xiaowen just smirks, questioning the very premise of her attack. He coolly states that a child's willpower is the last thing he's ever needed. A strange blue energy begins to form a shield around him. It expands, effortlessly repelling her army of illusions. Wang Yihan can only stare, her confidence completely shattered. He warns her that if this makes him late for a delivery, there will be consequences. She's furious, unable to believe he's worried about work right now. She lunges forward, ready to teach him a lesson in priorities. But she's stunned to find he can use his own powers inside her mind. In the next instant, his hand is wrapped around her throat. A terrifying demonic aura erupts from his body, filling the void. With glowing eyes and a twisted grin, he asks her to guess who he really is. She struggles in his grip, unable to believe he's using his own power here. No human has ever broken free from her mental prison. Xu Xiaowen coolly asks if she's finally figured out he's not human. He tosses her aside, explaining he knows a thing or two about hypnosis. He reveals the only way to trap him is if he allows it to happen. She calls him a monster, realizing the association has no idea what he is. Apparently, she didn't get the memo, gathering her power for another try. She forms a heart, preparing another blast of her hypnotic energy. She threatens him with capture and experimentation by the association. But our boy just asks if she really wants to cast an illusion inside an illusion. She sees this as a rare chance to test her limits against a true monster. But Xu Xiaowen just stands there, inviting her to take her best shot. Wang Yihan is completely baffled by his calm and his cryptic words. He explains he's letting her appear in his own illusion. A creative little test. Furious at being underestimated, she unleashes her most powerful attack. The arrow strikes, but not against him. It shatters the very fabric of her reality. Her entire mental world crumbles into a million pieces. So much for that plan. Back in the real world, Wang Yihan collapses, the psychic backlash too much to handle. The commotion brings Lin Miao Miao out, complaining about the noise and the lack of soundproofing. Wang Yiki explains her sister just passed out, leaving them all to wonder what just happened. Wang Yiki panics, having never seen her powerful sister faint. But Xu Xiaowen calmly checks her pulse, saying she'll be fine. Lin Miao Miao then questions why her sister was in his room to begin with. She turns on Xu Xiaowen, scolding him for just standing there. But our boy is completely unresponsive, lost in his own world. Furious at being ignored, Lin Miao Miao delivers a swift kick. He falls to the floor, stiff as a board, much to her confusion. Wang Yike realizes he's still reeling from her sister's hypnosis. Lin Miao Miao puts the pieces together. 2 sisters, the surname Wang. She finally identifies the unconscious woman as the Wang clan leader. Lin Miao Miao's expression shifts, a plan already forming in her mind. She informs Wang Yike that both sisters will be returning to the association. The very thought sends a wave of panic through the younger sister. Lin Miao Miao reveals the reason. Wang Yihan is a suspected member of a villain group. She insists it's just a friendly chat to clear up a misunderstanding. Sure it is. Wang Yike points out her sister is still unconscious, but Lin Miao Miao has a solution. She reveals a rare and powerful ability, a form of mind reading. She places a hand on Wang Yihan's head, delving into her subconscious. But what she finds in the clan leader's mind leaves her completely shocked. Wang Yike asks what's wrong, seeing the color drain from Lin Miao Miao's face. Inside Wang Yihan's mind, Lin Miao Miao finds only darkness. She's been pulled into a secondary illusion, a trap within a trap. She realizes this isn't Wang Yihan's mind, but a deeper, emptier space. She wonders where Xu Xiaowen is, as he should be here too. Suddenly, she collides with something solid in the void. Before her stands a massive, imposing wall of stone. She looks around, unnerved by the silent, empty darkness. Her gaze falls upon a colossal stone statue on a throne. Well, this is new. Suddenly, the statue's eyes ignite with a terrifying red glow. She can only stare in horror as the immense figure awakens. She wonders how he's become the master of her illusion. The pressure from the stone figure is absolutely breathtaking. Its massive stone hand begins to shift on the arm of the throne. Lin Miao Miao is but a speck before its immense, silent form. The statue slowly raises a finger, pointing directly at her. A voice echoes in the void, asking if she wants to know who it is. She can only swallow her fear, completely paralyzed. The voice reveals a name as the world shatters into fragments. Visions of his past lives flash before her, each ending in a ridiculous death. She sees him die again and again, an endless cycle of cursed greatness. The vision shifts, showing a woman slumped over her desk in exhaustion. Lin Miao Miao's eyes widen, the truth of his existence dawning on her. The revelation leaves her questioning the very nature of his identity. A single drop of sweat traces a path down her cheek, a sign of her fear. Inside the illusion, Xu Xiaowen confirms that all those lives were his. Every single one of them doomed to die a miserable, cursed death. He then asks how he managed to take control of her illusion. A question he cheekily admits he can't answer himself. In a moment of pure panic, she covers her eyes, promising she saw nothing. Classic, nothing to see here defense. She realizes this man is far beyond her comprehension. Xu Xiaowen just smirks, asking where all her confidence went. She admits defeat, knowing a fight against this monster is pointless. Even Xu Xiaowen is confused by his own power's manifestation. He declares the game over, bored with their little mindscape. Lin Miao Miao resorts to empty threats, her confidence all but gone. But he reminds her that she's trapped here with him, not the other way around. Suddenly, Wang Yihan appears, her own power flaring to life. She claims she can end this illusion whenever she pleases. She gathers her hypnotic energy, preparing to break them all free, but her power fizzles out, having no effect whatsoever. Well, that's embarrassing. Xu Xiaowen casually asks if she needs a hand with that. Wang Yihan gathers her power, refusing to accept her defeat. She unleashes a whip of pure energy, but Xu Xiaowen is unmoved. The clan leader finally realizes he was telling the truth all along. With a sigh, our boy decides to end this game himself. A single kick shatters the very foundation of their mental prison. In the real world, Wang Yike desperately tries to wake her sister. The two of them reappear as the illusion finally crumbles away. Xu Xiaowen smirks, reminding her he said he'd have to handle it. But his victory is cut short by a sudden, horrifying realization. He turns to Lin Miao Miao, asking if she was in there with them. She demands to know why he was completely unresponsive for so long. He comically asks if she'll pay for damages, but she's not amused. Just then, the clan leader's golden eyes slowly flutter open. Wang Yike rushes to her sister's side, who complains of a dizzy head. She has no memory of the illusion's end, wondering why Xu Xiaowen is fine. Lin Miao Miao wastes no time, ordering the clan leader to the association, but Wang Yihan questions her authority, demanding to know who she is. She introduces herself as a section head, leveling a serious accusation. Wang Yihan calls her bluff, demanding to see an official investigation order. Lin Miao Miao's expression darkens, her authority now openly challenged. Lin Miao Miao promises to get the paperwork, but Wang Yihan isn't waiting. The clan leader reveals she knows about Lin Miao Miao's mental powers. Lin Miao Miao is stunned that her own ability was so easily detected. But their standoff is interrupted by a new, imposing figure. Wang Yihan's defiance crumbles, refusing to return with this woman. The newcomer's gaze is cold steel, questioning her insubordination. The powerful clan leader is reduced to a stammering, fearful subordinate. She's given a final order to follow, her will completely broken. Family drama is universal, it seems. But just as she's about to be taken, Xu Xiaowen steps in to object. He confronts the woman, declaring he's onto her little scheme. He calmly reminds them that the rent has not yet been paid. But the stern woman is unmoved, stating this is a family matter. She leads the two sisters away, their business here now concluded. Lin Miao Miao watches them go, noting the strange power dynamic. The moment they're gone, the two roommates are back to bickering. The clock on the wall ticks forward, the morning already half gone. Xu Xiaowen collapses in despair over his still broken scooter. A man has his priorities. Lin Miao Miao blames him for all the chaos, but he refuses to engage. The scene shifts, leaving the apartment's drama behind for now. Elsewhere, a team of suited agents prepares for their next assignment. The woman in charge orders the younger girl to hand over her bag. But it's the older woman who receives a formal, synchronized greeting. She seems completely bewildered by the sudden show of respect. From a window above, Xu Xiaowen watches as they're ushered into a car. A hand suddenly lands on his shoulder. A quiet surprise. It's Jin Shan, who remarks on the shy girl's powerful family ties. She then asks why he'd still bother with deliveries now that he's an agent. The question hangs in the air, leaving our boy completely stumped. He has a sudden, loud realization that his old life might be over. The scene shifts, a proverb hinting at the dangers of a lifelong commitment. A young woman pleads with her attendant, not wanting to be married. But she's told the contract is set, and she has no choice in the matter. Her face darkens with despair, questioning her cruel fate. She gently stops the attendant's hand, a silent moment of decision. The comb is set aside, her protest now over. Her attendant can only offer a comforting embrace, calling it destiny. A voice from outside asks if the second miss is ready for the ceremony. The patriarch's aide announces that the guests have arrived. No pressure. With cold resolve, she agrees to meet them, her fate now sealed. She walks down the long hall, a lonely figure heading toward her future. The aide informs her the wedding is set, but she questions the sudden rush. He warns that the date is final, unless an accident should occur. She accepts her fate with a quiet, somber resignation. But she adds a cryptic note reminding him that accidents do happen. An attendant announces her arrival as she steps into the main hall. A woman lounging nearby compliments her, finding her despair much more appealing. A slow, deliberate clap echoes through the silent room. A man in a suit offers his cold, calculated approval of the arrangement. He approaches her, his gaze assessing her like a piece of property. He stands behind her, a possessive shadow looming over her future. The woman mocks their old-fashioned views on marriage and family. The young bride-to-be clenches her fists, her humiliation complete. But the woman's golden eyes show nothing but cold amusement. The aide explains this is about securing the family's future generations. She declares herself satisfied with the product and the upcoming wedding. She offers a hand, sealing the deal with a triumphant smirk. The aide accepts, their business transaction now officially complete. The second miss asks to be excused, unable to bear it any longer. The woman dismisses her with a casual wave, already bored. She explains away her sister's behavior as simple shyness. The two men finalize the details of their new alliance. The second miss reflects on a life lived as a tool for her family. She collapses in a hidden courtyard, her despair finally taking over. Tears stream down her face, a silent protest against her fate. But even in her sorrow, a spark of defiance remains. A voice cuts through her grief, pointing out her makeup is smudged. "Real smooth, buddy." She looks up in shock, her golden eyes meeting a familiar face. In a moment of pure confusion, she asks how Xu Xiaowen got in. He calmly explains he just walked right past security. Apparently the words "delivery boy" are the ultimate master key. Her composure shatters, her shock written all over her face. She frantically tells him he can't stay here, her eyes darting around. Grabbing his hand, she tries to pull him away, fearing her sister's wrath. She promises to lead him out, begging him never to return. But Xu Xiaowen stops her, asking why she was crying in the first place. Her eyes well with tears again, the question hitting its mark. A sudden rustle from the nearby bushes cuts their conversation short. She freezes, pulling him close as she asks who's there. A man in a formal uniform steps out, asking about the second Mrs. Guest. It's the aide, Uncle Xu, who claims he was just watering the plants. Sure you were, buddy. The aide's gaze falls upon their intertwined hands, a silent accusation. He asks if this is the real reason she's refusing her arranged marriage. He points directly at Xu Xiaowen, the supposed source of all this drama. Wang Yike frantically denies any connection, trying to shield him from trouble. The aide sizes up our boy, noting his simple clothes and delivery uniform. And suddenly, a light bulb goes off in his head, a very, very dim light bulb. He launches into a dramatic tale of forbidden love between a noble lady and a poor boy. Wang Yi can only listen in horror as he constructs an entire soap opera on the spot. But Xu Xiaowen just squeezes her hand, deciding to play along with the absurd story. He turns to her, asking if she's willing to fight for their eternal love. The aide puts on a show of tears, feigning reluctance. Xu Xiaowen is completely unimpressed by the over-the-top drama. The aide declares he must follow the script of this tragic romance. Wang Yike frantically tries to explain he's just her landlord. But the aide is committed, vowing to test Xu Xiaowen's sincerity. This guy watches way too much TV. Our boy tries to de-escalate, reminding him he's just a delivery guy. The aide points out that no ordinary writer could get in here. With his patience gone, he lunges forward in a blaze of fire. But in a flash, Xu Xiaowen vanishes from the spot. The aide is left stunned, unable to comprehend the boy's speed. But his fiery fist is caught mid-swing. Xu Xiaowen pins him to the ground, offering some life advice. The aide's flames rage, but they can't break the boy's grip. The attack backfires, sending the aide flying backward. Our boy just steps forward, completely unfazed by the heat. He calmly reminds the man that he warned him to take it easy. He notes that this family seems to have a listening problem. The aide asks which clan he belongs to, but Xu Xiaowen claims none. He sighs, frustrated that no one believes he's just a delivery boy. The aide introduces himself as a level 5 user, now completely humbled. The aide sees a worthy opponent ready for a real fight, but Xu Xiaowen calmly tells him he has no desire to fight. The aide is stunned, asking if the boy can read his mind. Xu Xiaowen confirms he can, but denies it's a psychic power. The aide's patience snaps, taking the boy's words as mockery. But in the next instant, his eyes go blank with shock. He turns, stammering the name of the second miss. Wang Yike stands over his unconscious body, offering an apology. Xu Xiaowen can only watch, surprised by this sudden turn. She hoists the man over her shoulder, telling Xu Xiaowen to escape. She tells him to follow the path and get out of here, fast. But Xu Xiaowen asks why she isn't leaving with him. She hesitates, unable to meet his gaze as she tends to the aide. She explains that she can't leave, her wedding is next month. Our boy's first thought, of course, is about the rent money. She tells him not to worry, admitting she was the one who broke their contract. Overwhelmed, she begs him to go, insisting he owes her nothing. But her words seem to have the opposite effect on him. He turns away, agreeing to leave her to her fate. But as he walks away, a new voice commands him to stop right there. The voice belongs to Lin Miao Miao, making a rather dramatic entrance. Wang Yike is stunned to see her other roommate has arrived. Lin Miao Miao grabs his shirt, asking if he was just going to leave. She complains about the trouble she went through to find this place. She threatens to report him, but he tells her to keep her voice down. Meanwhile, Wang Yike is touched, thinking he came all this way for her. The two roommates trade insults, their partnership off to a fantastic start. Xu Xiaowen realizes his curse may have found a new favorite weapon. He ignores her, turning to Wang Yike with a simple offer. His words leave her completely speechless, a single tear forming in her eye. He gives her one last chance, an ultimatum that will seal her fate. Wang Yike hesitates, the weight of her entire life hanging on this one decision. Her resolve finally shatters and she screams out her refusal to be a pawn any longer. With tears in her eyes, she begs him to take her away from it all. Xu Xiaowen quickly covers her mouth, his mind flashing to a bizarre anime parody. He internally apologizes for getting too emotional, a very strange time for a tangent. Lin Miao Miao steps in, offering a deal that involves free rent and a new life. Wang Yike looks at the outstretched hand, a lifeline from an unlikely source. With a quiet word of thanks, she accepts their help, her choice finally made. But when asked for a plan, our boy admits he has absolutely no idea what comes next. A true leader. Lin Miao Miao smirks, questioning his lack of a foolproof plan. He claims he was just checking on a tenant, sending her into a rage. He turns to Wang Yike, telling her to come home with him. But she hesitates, worried about the family she's leaving behind. Xu Xiaowen's words cut deep, telling her Atul has no home. His statement leaves her completely stunned, the truth hitting its mark. Lin Miao. Miao pulls her close, promising they'll figure it out together. With their escape successful, the trio heads off in search of noodles. Priorities. But from the bushes, a hand emerges, their escape not as clean as they thought. The aide cries out in despair, his dramatic performance far from over. The aide lets out a long, theatrical sigh. He dabs his eyes, remarking that the second miss finally has a friend. Later, he reports his failure to the family's matriarch. But Wang Yihan just mocks his definition of incompetence. He reaffirms his loyalty, trying to salvage his dignity. She laughs it off, telling him it was only a joke. But the aide vows to retrieve Wang Yik. His resolve hardened. Wang Yihan tells him to wait, questioning if he's fine with her living outside. She wants to see if this new man in her sister's life is truly determined. Her sister's newfound defiance has finally made things interesting. She struggles to recall the illusion. Certain Xu Xiaowen is the cause. Her golden eyes narrow as she orders her aide to stand down. The aide respectfully agrees, acknowledging her as the clan's patriarch. He then takes his leave, closing the door behind him. But her quiet moment is interrupted by a hulking, uninvited guest. Without hesitation, she launches a banana like a deadly projectile. But her attack is casually caught and consumed in a single bite. She questions the man, Gulu, on his unannounced arrival. The massive man stands before her, his presence filling the room. He then barrels past her, a blur of motion and brute force. He asks why she's been skipping their meetings, a message from their lord. Wang Yihan dismisses meetings as inefficient, preferring a more modern approach. He mocks her clan's reclusive nature, saying their lord is old-fashioned. Annoyed, she tells him to stop eating while he's talking. The question strikes a nerve, and he asks if she's calling him fat. He explains that eating keeps him from getting angry and doing bad things. A classic hangry defense. She cuts to the chase, asking if there's any other reason for his visit. He then asks about the marriage alliance between her clan and the Ouyangs. He answers his own question, declaring the arrangement a success. His expression darkens as he warns her to ensure the alliance holds. Wang Yihan dismisses him, telling him to leave if he has nothing else to say. But Gulu seems to have one last very important question. He points to a bowl of fruit, asking if he can have a snack for the road. He grabs an apple, joking that she wouldn't want him to choke. She asks if he's worried about being seen, but he seems unconcerned. He casually explains that if anyone were to see him, he'd simply make sure they disappeared. Problem solved. With a final wave, he departs, reminding her that their lord is waiting. Left alone, Wang Yihan clutches her head, completely fed up with the man. The scene shifts, returning to the relative quiet of the city. Lin Miao Miao presses Wang Yike for information, but the girl seems genuinely clueless. She questions how the second miss could be so ignorant of her own family's business. Wang Yike insists she's just an outsider, completely terrified by the interrogation. But Xu Xiaowen just sits there, completely over the drama. He casually picks up the remote, a silent protest against the tension. Enraged, Lin Miao Miao hurls the remote at his head, demanding he take this seriously. She laments how hard it was to find this lead, and he just blames her poor mind-reading skills. She accuses him of having ulterior motives for rescuing Wang Yike. But a flashback reveals she already investigated the Wang family's history. She learns of their cruel tradition, sacrificing children for the family's prosperity. Lin Miao Miao reminds Xu Xiaowen that his association training is just 2 days away. Wang Yike timidly asks if she can visit, a lifelong dream she thought was impossible. Lin Miao Miao is surprised, explaining the association values mental abilities. But Wang Yike's confidence is shaken, recalling a warning from her sister. Lin Miao Miao bluntly tells her that her powerful sister has been lying to her. She reveals the association has tried to recruit the Wang clan for years, but was always rejected. A flashback shows Wang Yihan dismissing her sister's power as useless. She was told to just stay home, her dreams crushed by her own family. Lin Miao Miao insists her power is far from weak, a potential game changer. She reminds Wang Yike of how she just took down the aide, but the girl remains unconvinced. She wonders if she truly has what it takes to step out of the shadows. A flashback reveals a childhood spent in her sister's brilliant, blinding light. She was always the forgotten one, a footnote in her own family story. Xu Xiaowen knows all too well that excellence is just another kind of curse. But Lin Miao Miao sees an opportunity, a plan already taking shape.
She asks Wang Yike if she's truly ready to commit to this new path.
With a surge of newfound courage, Wang Yike declares that she is. Lin Miao Miao's sly smile suggests this won't be a simple process. But the girl is determined, willing to do whatever it takes to join. Lin Miao Miao lays out the association's grueling recruitment process. She reveals there's another, more secretive test they must pass. But Wang Yik's resolve is unshaken. She's ready for any challenge. And so, they arrive at the towering headquarters of the association. Lin Miao Miao welcomes them to their new temporary home. The sheer scale of the building leaves them completely speechless. She explains the induction training is a 3-day live-in event. Xu Xiaowen looks thrilled. Wang Yike happily agrees, eager to finally begin her new life. As they walk, Lin Miao Miao gives Xu Xiaowen a final quiet warning. He's to reveal only one power, or risk a much deeper investigation. With that, he steps through the door, his training officially underway. The power level test begins, and a machine immediately explodes. Other trainees face similar tests, the room filled with chaos. The instructor turns to Xu Xiaowen, asking if he's responsible. She recalls warning him to suppress his power, but he just broke the meter. She panics, knowing this will attract unwanted attention from the higher-ups. But our boy has a plan, reaching into his pocket for a solution. He pulls out 2 pink antennae, asking for her professional opinion. The instructor can only stare, completely baffled by his strange device. He explains they're anime-inspired power suppressors. Of course they are. He turns to equip his new gear, leaving her utterly speechless. He asks if his new look is more appropriate. It's a bold choice, that's for sure. The instructor, however, is not a fan of his cosplay solution. He explains he built the suppressor based on her warning about the machine. He admits he's not an expert at making mind control devices. You don't say, and of course there's a catch. It only works for 5 minutes. Furious, she grabs him and drags him away to deal with the impending disaster. He's hauled down the hall as another trainee watches them go. The instructor barrels through the crowded corridor, clearing a path by force. In the chaos, Xu Xiaowen's flailing leg nearly kicks a calm-looking boy. The boy seems completely unfazed, his mind on someone else entirely. The instructor screams that they're completely out of time. The calm boy with the lollipop wonders who this new person is. She drags Xu Xiaowen into a secluded room, slamming the door shut. Our boy is unceremoniously tossed inside, landing in a heap. The instructor leans against the door, relieved they weren't caught. But Wang Yik is already inside, asking why they were running. The instructor tries to explain just what kind of monster their landlord is. Wang Yiki is completely lost, not understanding what she means. She clarifies that he's strong enough to make the power meters explode. The girl is stunned, wondering what power level could possibly do that. Xu Xiaowen dismisses power levels, claiming he's never been properly measured. The instructor argues that everyone's power is fixed by kindergarten. He casually admits he dropped out after just 1 year. A true academic. He then turns to Wang Yike, asking her to keep his secret safe for now. She blushes, eagerly promising to protect his confidence. Her curiosity piqued, she asks to see the strange suppressor he's wearing. He pulls it off without a second thought, saying it's already broken. Elsewhere, Lin Miao Miao realizes her plan is ruined, her dreams of cash fading away. A chibi version of Xu Xiaowen sarcastically comments on her loud inner thoughts. But Wang Yike is completely impressed, calling him a genius for his creation. The instructor offers to build him a proper suppressor, much to their surprise. She delves into the science of superpowers, a story of ancient radiation. She explains that psychic abilities are simply a matter of visualization, and she confirms Xu Xiaowen's theory was completely correct. Time for a quick science lesson, apparently. Wang Yiki smiles, hoping her family might finally see her worth. But the instructor's expression suggests that's just wishful thinking. She points out his anime antennae are a bit too obvious for covert work. Instead, she offers a simple bracelet as a more subtle alternative. Xu Xiaowen is surprised, asking if she's also an engineer. She explains her power is hypnosis, which she can use to tune the device. The instructor smiles, declaring 3 days is all she needs. He asks why Wang Yike can't just enhance her own abilities. The instructor explains the immense risk of self-manipulation. Xu Xiaowen considers the terrifying possibility of villains trying this, but she dismisses it as rumor with no confirmed cases. Yet, he points out that psychopaths would inevitably try to break the rules. He theorizes it's a shortcut to leveling up, a dangerous temptation. She admits her department has no leads, but promises to investigate. With the lesson over, she tells them to get the suppressor made, fast. The conversation ends, leaving them with a new, dangerous idea. The instructor smiles, confident that her creation will do the trick. She hands him the finished product, a simple, unassuming bracelet. Xu Xiaowen puts it on, asking if they should give it a test run. And right on cue, Lin Miao Miao appears with a brand new power meter. The device registers him as a stable, if slightly wobbly, level 4. The instructor apologizes, admitting she's still fine-tuning the frequency, but Lin Meow Meow is thrilled, thanking her for the invaluable assistance. Her inner thoughts reveal her true motive. Her personal cash machine is safe. Enraged at being called out, she accuses him of snooping in her mind. With the test complete, she tells him it's time to report for induction. Lin Meow Meow tells Wang Yike to wait in her office, separating the two new recruits. Wang Yike offers a bright smile and some final words of encouragement. Her innocent cheerfulness catches him off guard, a rare moment of warmth. Lin Meow Meow then leads him to the official onboarding office. He takes in the scene, a little surprised by the mundane setting. The first window is closed, a classic sign of bureaucratic efficiency. He looks at the long, diverse line of recruits, noting it looks just like any other government office. Lin Meow Meow questions his surprise, and he quickly plays it cool. He mentally scolds himself for expecting something more dramatic. So much for a secret agent vibe. She points him to the correct line, telling him to queue up for his training level assessment. She gives him one last piece of advice. Try to act a little more normal. But our boy is already disappointed by the distinct lack of magic and robots. He internally complains that this high-tech agency looks just like a bank. The recruit ahead of him is called forward, a young man named Yuan Jie. The official notes his excellent scores, questioning his choice of the intelligence section. But Yuan Jie is unwavering, confirming his decision without hesitation. His paperwork is stamped, and he's assigned to his training room. As the previous recruit departs, it's finally Xu Xiaowen's turn. The official recognizes his name as Chief Lin's promotion, but is confused by his status. Xu Xiaowen calmly clarifies that he's only here on a part-time basis. The official stares him down, a long, silent moment of assessment. With a heavy sigh and a stamp of red ink, he's assigned a room. Xu Xiaowen walks away, sensing he was just being sized up. He's immediately waved down by Lin Meow Meow, his ever-present handler. She asks about the interrogation, and he explains they questioned his part-time status. She confirms he followed her script, a crucial part of her grand plan. He tells her he stuck to the story, just as she'd instructed, and with that, the official simply let him go. No further questions asked. Lin Meow Meow is relieved, explaining those clerks are sharper than they look. But Xu Xiaowen's mind is on the next hurdle, the training, and its dreaded performance tests. She assures him the training isn't a test so he can relax. She lays out the schedule, one interesting test and one boring combat trial. Xu Xiaowen is completely unimpressed by her vague and unhelpful description. She insists he should just experience it for himself, calling it a rare opportunity. With that, she tells him she's off to handle Wang Yike's arrangements. She waves goodbye, leaving him to fend for himself for the next 3 days. He sighs, realizing he's in deep, just as a voice tells him to move. He stands alone in the polished hall, a fish out of water. He turns around, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. He looks up at a hulking figure, asking if he's looking at a minotaur. First day of school is always fun. The horned man snaps at him, annoyed by the unwanted attention. But Xu Xiaowen just apologizes, letting the man pass without a fight. He watches him go, realizing this place is full of all sorts of characters. His only real question is whether those horns were a power or just a bold fashion choice. He calls the elevator, ready to begin his first day of training. He steps inside, his sandals a stark contrast to the formal setting. The doors close, reflecting his bored expression back at him. The car fills with other recruits, and a woman asks him to press her floor. He obliges, selecting the 13th floor on the panel. The elevator arrives, and the doors slide open to their destination. As the recruits step out, the difference in style is immediately apparent. A flamboyant man in a period costume stops to take a quick selfie. Another recruit watches him, sensing they're destined to be in the same class. He arrives at his assigned room number 1302, and just as he predicted, the flamboyant swordsman is right there with him. The man offers a charming smile, ready to make a new friend. He introduces himself with a ridiculously long name and a shower of roses. He's Edward, a level 4 user with a flair for the dramatic. But his attention is suddenly drawn to another familiar face in the hall. He welcomes Xu Xiaowen, thrilled they'll be classmates from now on. A new recruit, Yuan Jie, greets them from inside the room. The class is a mix of powerful users, including 2 martial artist twins. The other recruits offer a simple greeting to the imposing Yuan Jie. But Edward makes a much grander entrance, introducing himself as a prince. He offers a list of nicknames, none of which Xu Xiaowen will ever use. An off-screen instructor tells them to pick up their training schedules. Xu Xiaowen steps forward to grab the itinerary for the next 3 days. But as he reads the document, his expression begins to change. He's left completely speechless by the contents of the schedule. It's a list of mind-numbing lectures, not the hero training he expected. He finally understands Lin Miao Miao's definition of interesting. He finds an empty desk, his new reality setting in. He knows he has to find a way to survive this academic nightmare, but Yuanji approaches, pointing out he's the last to introduce himself. Xu Xiaowen offers a simple introduction. A former delivery man. Yuanji smiles, admitting he was a student who dropped out. Our boy is immediately suspicious of this attempt to build rapport. Just then, a new instructor enters, calling the class to order. Her eyes narrow, recognizing a familiar face in the crowd. And Xu Xiaowen recognizes her too. Jin Shan from the cleaning section. Jin Shan begins the class, announcing they have some required reading. She claps her hands, signaling for the materials to be brought in. A cart groans under the weight of a mountain of rulebooks. So much for action-packed training. The other recruits can only stare in stunned, horrified silence. But Yuanji just smirks, calling it a simple task. We've found the teacher's pet. The class settles in, the mood a mix of dread and quiet acceptance. Jin Shan explains that regardless of their background, they all serve the association. But as Xu Xiaowen scans the schedule, he notices one very important detail. Right at the end of the third day, there's a test with no clear deadline. He glares at the paper, silently cursing Lin Miao Miao for her little white lie. Jin Shan quotes a bizarrely specific rule from the manual. Apparently, bathroom breaks are a serious offense around here. Xu Xiaowen is convinced this is his curse at work again. A pop quiz designed to make him number one, and then kill him. The lecture shifts to geopolitics, explaining the 5 Global Association headquarters. She reveals a friendly competition is held every 5 years to showcase national strength. The winning Continents Association will lead the world for the next 5 years. She lets the weight of that statement sink in, the stakes now crystal clear. The other recruits look on, dreams of glory filling their minds. Everyone here has a chance to represent their country on the world stage. But for Xu Xiaowen, this isn't a dream. It's a nightmare he can't escape. He immediately tries to find a loophole, telling the instructor he can't participate. She asks if this surprise quiz is a new addition to the curriculum. Xu Xiaowen questions how a section chief could be so clueless about the training. She explains that chiefs are exempt, and she's been busy dodging her debts. She offers a flimsy apology, admitting she never attended training herself. As a rare level 5 psychic, she was apparently too special for the basics. Xu Xiaowen can only stare, wondering how she's managed to survive this long. He turns to leave, declaring that he absolutely will not be taking that quiz, but Lin Miao Miao leaps after him, calling him her precious money tree. She clings to his leg, warning him that leaving now counts as forfeiting. The news hits him like a ton of bricks, his one escape route now gone. She explains the association's rules are absolute. No one can withdraw from training. And the final nail in the coffin. Quitting the test means he'll be ranked last, which is still number 1. Back in the classroom, Xu Xiaowen's fury reaches a boiling point. He desperately searches for a loophole, even considering injuring himself to get out of it. But the memories of his past lives flood his mind, the curse's grip tightening around him. 3 days later, Jin Shan announces the moment they've all been dreading, the final test. The other recruits are completely drained, but Yuan Jie looks on with cold contempt. Our boy is just as fried, his brain completely overloaded from the academic gauntlet. The instructor stands before her class, a silent observer of their exhaustion. With a sly smile, she asks if they're truly ready for what's about to come. But Yuanji stands, questioning the test's ambiguous deadline. He correctly deduces that this quiz has nothing to do with their lectures. Jin Shan simply pushes up her glasses, offering no comment. He presses on, guessing the test must be different for every recruit. She praises his intelligence, but once again refuses to give anything away. With a final adjustment of her glasses, she begins the 30-second countdown. Xu Xiaowen sighs, realizing his only option is to reboot. Again, a voice echoes through the room, the final seconds ticking away. Suddenly, the room is plunged into absolute darkness. The recruits cry out in confusion, demanding to know what's happening. A timer ticks down as a strange gas fills the classroom. Jin Shan calmly dons a gas mask, announcing the test has begun. The other recruits panic, wondering if they're being gassed. The final seconds tick away, her expression hidden by the mask. One by one, the trainees begin to succumb to the fumes. So much for Prince Charming, but Yuanji remains calm, wondering if this is just an escape room. He quickly grows bored of the theatrics, his patience wearing thin. Deciding to just take a nap, he lays his head down on the desk. As the countdown hits 0, Jin Shan declares the test is officially underway, but Xu Xiaowen seems to have already checked out, lost in his own world. Xu Xiaowen slowly comes to, wondering how he lost consciousness. He looks around the unfamiliar room, his classmates scattered around him. Wenjia deduces they were all transported here after being gassed. He notes the labeled doors, realizing this is a secret off-the-books location. The sterile, identical rooms suggest a carefully constructed maze. One of the younger recruits is already complaining, asking for a computer. The martial artist twins scold him for his terrible timing and priorities. Suddenly, a screen flickers to life and a voice asks if they can be heard. The disembodied voice confirms the audio is clear, and the test can begin. Yuanzhi realizes they're trapped in a fishbowl, their every move being watched. The voice introduces itself as the jury for this little test. A motley crew of judges appears on screen, welcoming the new recruits. The rules are simple. Quitting the quiz means quitting the association for good. Before the test begins, they're told to each choose one item from a table. The selection is bizarre. A jacket, an ice pick, chocolate, squash, water, and sunscreen. Edward is completely baffled by the random assortment of survival gear, but the quiet boy in overalls explains there's a clear pattern to the items. He deduces there are 2 kits, one for a cold climate and one for a hot one. Edward is impressed, though he notes it feels like another boring lecture. He then asks the boy why someone so clever would join their section. Edward explains his choice with perfect logic. Only the most handsome section is worthy of his beauty. On screen, the judge notes their choices with a sly, knowing smile. A quick breakdown shows the recruits and their chosen survival items. The judge then reveals the first twist. Their props will determine their teams. The martial artist twins are completely stunned by the announcement. One of them protests, explaining that she and her sister have never been separated. They can only watch as the test's true, cruel nature is revealed. A glitchy screen displays the complex rules of this little game. The quiz is divided into 2 stages, with points awarded for pressing a button. In the second stage, the first group to act will gain points while the other will lose them. The judge adds that individual performance will also be a crucial factor. The final score is a combination of points, with a harsh penalty for last place. The teams are split, directed to Gate A for cold gear and Gate B for hot. But there's one more twist to keep things interesting. Each team is given a progress indicator to track the competition. Edward, of course, is the first to volunteer for the new accessory. The device will display the progress of both teams in real time. With a final warning to hurry, the stage is officially set. But the martial artist twins share a tearful goodbye, their bond now a liability. They have 10 seconds to enter, or their dream of joining the association is over. The younger twin asks her sister what she's supposed to do now. But Yuanzhi steps in, promising to protect her sister for her. He pulls the distraught girl along, telling her to focus on the quiz. The other twin can only sigh, her fate now in the hands of strangers. Yuanzhi offers a final word of comfort, saying they'll meet again soon. With the final seconds ticking away, the teams are forced apart. They're instantly transported to 2 brutal, unforgiving landscapes. The judge's voice rings out, announcing the first stage has begun. For Team A, their trial will be a battle against the freezing cold. Gate A slams shut, leaving them stranded in the frozen wasteland. The 3 recruits can only stare, their shock as cold as the air. Edward is the first to complain, realizing this isn't a set but a real frozen hell. Without a word, Xu Xiaowen gives his jacket to the younger twin. She looks up at him, a quiet thank you in her tear-filled eyes. Our boy just surveys the landscape, impressed by the association's budget. He wonders what kind of trial the other team is being forced to endure. As Edward shivers, the girl offers him the jacket, a gesture of shared survival. But the prince strikes a pose, declaring a gentleman never lets a lady freeze. Xu Xiaowen cuts in, telling them to get moving before they all become popsicles. He then gives a grim lecture on hypothermia, a real party starter. Edward voices their frustration, asking how they can proceed without instructions. He demands a target, a clue, anything to guide them through this frozen hell. But Xu Xiaowen realizes their goal is simple: find a way to the second stage. He knows the jury is watching, analyzing their every move from the shadows. He has to find the perfect balance between competence and mediocrity. As they trudge through the snow, the biting cold begins to truly set in. Edward shivers violently, asking if the temperature just dropped again. Xu Xiaowen scans the area, realizing the surveillance cameras are expertly hidden. But if he can find one, he might just find a way out of this icy prison. Meanwhile, Prince Edward's composure completely shatters, begging for a hug. So much for chivalry. The younger twin offers her jacket to the shivering prince. He reluctantly accepts, his dignity taking a backseat to survival. She explains her harsh training has prepared her for this kind of cold. They spot a cave in the distance. a potential shelter from the storm. Xu Xiaowen warns them of snow blindness, urging them to get inside. The small team trudges through the deep snow, heading for the cave. Inside, they find a pile of dry wood, a small miracle in this frozen wasteland. The girl points out the convenient supply of firewood. Xu Xiaowen is surprised by their sudden stroke of luck. She realizes the wood was placed here, a clear sign this test is being manipulated. Xu Xiaowen realizes the test designers anticipated their every move. He knows there must be a clue hidden somewhere in this cave. He asks if anyone has fire powers, but gets a resounding no. He can't reveal his own abilities, and internally blames Lin Meow Meow for this mess, just as he resigns himself to a very, very cold fate. The younger twin cheerfully announces she can make a fire. She begins the ancient, painstaking process of drilling wood. Edward is stunned, never expecting to see this outside of a history book. With surprising speed, smoke and sparks begin to fly, and just like that, a roaring flame bursts to life, saving them from the cold. With the fire roaring, Edward declares this is just like a camping trip, but Xu Xiaowen is focused on the ice pick, questioning its true purpose. The younger twin theorizes it's a clue, a key to solving this stage of the test. Our boy is surprised by her sudden insight, noting her previous silence. She grows flustered, unaware that she'd been so talkative. Edward explains that before this, she'd only clung to her sister's side. Xu Xiaowen reminds them the judges are watching, scoring their every move. He internally assesses his team. One is clever, the other is comic relief. Edward grabs the girl, vowing to put on a show for their hidden audience. But Xu Xiaowen brings them back to the task, pondering the ice pick's true meaning. But Edward suddenly holds up a hand, his playful demeanor gone. He listens closely, hearing a strange rattling sound from deep within the cave. The three of them stand back to back, ready for whatever is about to emerge. Edward confirms their fears, warning that something big is coming right at them. The scene shifts to Team B, who are facing a completely different kind of hell. They trudge through a vast, scorching desert under a relentless sun. Suddenly, the progress indicator on the quiet boy's wrist begins to flash. He announces that Team A has just pulled ahead, their progress jumping by 5%. But Yuanjia spots a building in the distance, a potential objective for them. The boy in overalls agrees, knowing they need to pick up the pace to stay in the game. From the darkness, a small, fluffy creature rolls into the firelight. Edward is startled as the strange snowball bounces right up to him. He stares down at it, completely baffled by this new development. The creature sits down, its big eyes welling with tears as it shivers. But the younger twin is immediately charmed, calling it a little snowman. She kneels down, getting a closer look at the adorable, fluffy visitor. She asks the creature if it's lost, wondering where its parents are. The little thing can only let out a soft, sad cry in response. But in the next instant, it leaps forward, catching her by surprise. It burrows into her arms, not to attack, but to find a little warmth. But Xu Xiaowen is not impressed, convinced this thing is just playing her. Edward is confused, wondering how the huge presence he sensed could be this tiny creature. Xu Xiaowen confirms his suspicion, warning that the real threat is still out there. The younger twin, however, is completely smitten by the adorable little thing. Suddenly, a scream echoes from the cave entrance as two red eyes ignite in the darkness. Our boy's expression hardens. He knew this was too good to be true. A massive, clawed foot slams down, cracking the very stone beneath it. The ground trembles as a hulking figure emerges from the shadows. Edward can only stare in disbelief, his bravado completely gone. The three of them stand together, facing the true monster of this frozen hell. A low growl echoes from the darkness, saliva dripping from its fangs. The beast is a hulking, white-furred monstrosity, towering over them. But Xu Xiaowen's expression remains completely unfazed by the sight. The monster lets out a deafening, earth-shaking roar. Edward and the younger twin can only stare in absolute terror. Our boy deduces this must be the little creature's parent. A very, very big parent. The girl looks down at the small fluff ball, her concern growing. But the creature's innocent act suddenly drops, revealing a sinister glint. It lashes out with surprising force, tearing at her clothes in a flash. The little monster then leaps onto the giant's head, its true nature revealed. The little creature holds up a piece of her torn clothing, a tiny, fluffy trophy. Edward explodes in rage, vowing to kill the creature for its transgression. The giant monster's red eyes glow with pure, unbridled fury. Edward shouts a warning, telling them to watch out for its eyes. But Xu Xiaowen realizes this beast isn't a random encounter. It's the next clue. He recalls the legends of a 7-foot-tall snow monster, but the creature before them is far larger, a 4-meter-tall beast. It's a hulking, muscular monstrosity. Weird is definitely one word for it. Xu Xiaowen knows this is all too convenient, a perfectly timed test. And right on cue, the monster lunges, sending the younger twin flying. Edward shouts at the younger twin, Chun Tian, trying to stop her, but she ignores him, leaping forward to attack the beast head-on. She lands a powerful kick right in the monster's chest. The impact sends the massive creature stumbling backward. Chun Tian lands perfectly, her expression one of cold fury. Her teammates can only stare, stunned by the monster's raw power. She strikes a pose, declaring that betrayal will not be forgiven. The snow beast lets out a furious, pained roar in response. But as Xu Xiaowen moves to step in, she tells him to wait. She knows this is a fight to the death. Either they win or they die. But Xu Xiaowen questions if a direct fight is what the jury wants. But Edward's warning comes a fraction of a second too late. The monster's massive claw comes crashing down toward them. Yet our boy just stands there, his expression one of pure boredom. In the next instant, the beast is sent flying backward through the air. Edward can only stare in disbelief, wondering what just happened. The little creature hides behind its parent, its act of innocence back in place. Xu Xiaowen calmly deduces the monster's foot must be broken. He asks Chun Tian if she can finish the job, and she confidently agrees. With a look of pure focus, she prepares to unleash her final attack. She unleashes a devastating kick, a blur of motion and power. With a furious cry, she puts all her strength into the blow. The attack connects, sending the beast reeling backward. It crashes to the ground in a cloud of snow and debris. Edward can only scream, his mind completely blown by her power. He asks Xu Xiaowen what just happened, as Chun Tian sways dizzily. He questions if the monster was really injured or just scared off. Edward compares the beast to a starter-level video game enemy. Xu Xiaowen agrees, saying they should focus on finding the real clues. Edward realizes the clue must be connected to the tiny, deceptive creature. Xu Xiaowen and Edward are left completely baffled by the sudden victory. But Edward quickly recovers, praising Xu Xiaowen while forgetting his own name for a second. He strikes a pose over the fallen beast, giving his full, ridiculous royal title. The little creature hides behind a rock, its innocent act back in full force. But Xu Xiaowen looms over it, ready to find out what secrets it's hiding. He wonders aloud where the clue could possibly be on this tiny thing. Edward and Chun Tian suggest a more invasive approach, morbidly curious about its anatomy. The creature shivers in terror, its big eyes welling with tears. But Xu Xiaowen kneels down, offering it one last chance to cooperate. And just like that, the helpless creature pulls out a small, ornate key. Xu Xiaowen holds up the key, sarcastically complimenting the creature's eyesight. With the monster defeated, the team finally makes their way out of the cave. The progress indicator on Edward's wrist flashes with a sudden update. Edward praises Xu Xiaowen for the incredible punch that took the beast down. But from a hidden control room, the judges watch their every move. One of them remarks that this particular group is proving to be quite interesting. But the calm boy with the lollipop knows it's Xu Xiaowen who's the real wild card. The scene shifts to the scorching heat of an endless desert. Here, Team B continues their grueling trek through the unforgiving sand. The other twin worries their destination is just a mirage, a cruel trick of the light. The boy in overalls explains the science behind desert mirages. But the older twin is far less interested in a lecture than the crushing heat. The boy confirms that after an hour of walking, the town must be real. Yenja urges them forward, their only hope for shade now in sight. But the older twin can't take the oppressive heat any longer. She decides a change of clothes is in order, right here in the desert. She stands in a much cooler, if significantly less practical outfit. With that, she sits down, declaring it's time for a break. A bold move in a timed test. The boy warns her that exposing skin will only make her dehydrate faster. But she insists her martial arts training has prepared her for this. She's surprised by his stamina, telling him to get up. He checks the tracker. Team A is already pulling ahead. The older twin complains, but the boy insists the town is their only lead. But a new danger emerges from right beneath his feet. Yenja shouts a warning, telling him to freeze. The boy looks on, completely unaware of the threat. In a flash, a blast of energy neutralizes the scorpion. Wenja holds the last of his power, his reflexes saving the day. He identifies the creature as a highly venomous desert scorpion. He explains they're lucky. At night, these things are a nightmare. The boy in overalls recalls a terrifying fact about scorpions. His teammates share his look of dawning, absolute horror. The older twin realizes they're not dealing with just one. From beneath the sand, more of the creatures begin to emerge. A massive, chittering swarm boils up from the desert floor. The boy realizes time is accelerated here. Night is falling fast. Yenja shouts for them to make a run for the distant town. They sprint through the sea of venomous creatures. because one venomous bug is never enough. But Yuenja's patience has finally reached its limit. He stops, declaring he'll thin the herd before they go any further. Wenja's hand crackles with a brilliant blue energy. He unleashes his power, a storm of raw force erupting from him. With a furious cry, he prepares to wipe them all out. A massive shockwave of energy blasts outward from his body. The scorpions are torn apart, their carapaces shattering. But the boy in overalls shouts for him to stop his attack. He warns that this will only make the swarm more furious. But as Yuenja runs, he feels the ground begin to give way. He realizes something else is moving just beneath the sand. Because of course there is. The team makes a desperate final sprint for the safety of the town. But just as they reach the town's edge, the swarm suddenly stops. The older twin is confused, wondering why they're no longer being chased. Wenja realizes the creatures seem to fear entering the town. But the real threat was never the swarm. It was what lay beneath. A massive armored claw erupts from the cloud of sand. The team can only stare as a monstrous scorpion king appears. So much for a simple pest problem. Wenja realizes this is another test, another push toward the town. He knows the jury is forcing their hand, herding them like cattle. Entering the town means falling right into the testmaker's trap. But staying out here means facing an endless, venomous tide. The boy in overalls explains that fighting is a losing battle of attrition. He concludes their only real option is to retreat into the town. The older twin and Yuanji prepare for a fight, ready to take on the beast. But the boy wonders what choice the jury is actually testing here. His eyes narrow, a plan finally clicking into place. He suddenly bolts for the town, deciding it's better to regroup than die. From a hidden control room, the judges watch the team's desperate escape. The calm boy with the lollipop asks one of the judges about his interest. The mustachioed judge scoffs, knowing the obvious answer is never the right one. Another judge tells him to calm down, noting this group is finally getting interesting. The judge with the lollipop watches, musing that this test is more like a variety show. Before them stands a crude wooden sign, promising the next clue is inside the temple. The older twin questions the sign's sloppy writing, wondering if it's all a trick. But the boy in overalls knows this is part of the plan. Exhaust them, then lead them into a trap. He smirks, deciding to walk right into it since the judges clearly want a show. He recognizes the classic strategy, a clear invitation into the lion's den. The older twin dismisses the danger, confidently leading the way inside. The boy in overalls jokes that once inside, they'll be like turtles in a jar. Elsewhere, another recruit laughs, amused by their predicament. But his expression darkens as he promises this test will be their last. The boy in overalls taps his foot, his patience wearing thin. The massive doors of the temple slam shut, sealing Team B inside. The tracker on his wrist flashes, confirming their progress has been noted. The hall is lit only by flickering candles, casting long, ominous shadows. They realize they're trapped, their only path leading further into the darkness. The older twin shivers, complaining about the sudden, unnatural chill. Yanja offers her his jacket, a practical solution to an impractical outfit choice. The boy in overalls spots their objective, a single wooden box on a distant altar. The others agree, ready to rush forward and claim their prize. But he facepalms in frustration, begging his teammate to use her head for once. The older twin has already reached the altar, holding the box aloft. But her prize is sealed shut by a heavy, unyielding lock. She realizes they'll need to find a key to open it. So much for a quick win. The boy in overalls scolds her for her reckless impulsiveness, but she just waves him off, confident this is a simple puzzle. As she steps back, her foot presses down on a hidden floor panel. Yenja screams a warning, but it's already far too late. But the recruit ignores the order, breaking into a sudden sprint. He rushes past his teammates, heading straight for the pedestal. The pink-haired twin questions why her teammates are holding back, but their leader warns them to stay put, certain this is a trap. The analyst agrees, knowing the test wouldn't have a dead end. Suddenly, the entire temple begins to rumble and shake around them. The leader looks up, realizing the massive pillars are shifting. With a grinding groan, the columns slide back into the walls. The analyst wonders what kind of trap awaits them, hopefully not just poisoned darts. A massive object crashes down, shattering the stone floor with immense force. The leader senses a presence, realizing this is no mere machine. He knows from the vibrations that something enormous is coming. A massive stone axe slices through the air, aimed directly at them. But a blur of motion deflects the blow at the last possible second. The impact shatters a nearby pillar, sending stone fragments raining down. From the dust emerges a colossal stone guardian, the temple's final defense. The team leader questions their odds, while the analyst can only stare in disbelief. The pink-haired twin's eyes widen, her shock quickly turning to resolve. But the stone giant pauses, its attention suddenly drawn elsewhere. A second weapon, a massive sword, slams into the ground beside it. The analyst panics. Apparently, this test has a 2-boss minimum. The team leader turns, bracing himself for this new cloaked opponent. The team leader stands his ground before the 2 stone giants, but he realizes they're just standing there, completely motionless. The analyst theorizes the floor is a pressure plate, holding them in place. The pink-haired twin offers a brave, if slightly reckless, reassurance. But the analyst panics, begging her not to do anything rash. She just smiles, confident she can handle whatever comes next. Famous last words. Suddenly, the floor beneath them begins to shift and groan. The team leader can only watch as the stone weapons descend. The analyst screams, demanding to know what she's just done. She innocently explains she just put the box back where she found it. The analyst freezes, urging his team to remain perfectly still. He realizes the stone guardians must be controlled by some kind of trigger. Meanwhile, the ice team stands before a massive frozen lake. Edward looks around, wondering where the key is supposed to be used. Wenger admits this is the first test he's seen with so few clues. He theorizes this is a test of observation and imagination, then urges them to move faster. Edward stares at the ice, wondering what could be hidden in its depths. Chuntian looks down, asking if there could be a building under the lake. A very normal question. Yuenja praises her creative thinking, admitting it's not impossible. His eyes glow with a strange power as he prepares to see for himself. Yuenja's vision pierces through the thick layer of ice. And just as he suspected, a structure is hidden below. But he can't reveal his power without the judges noticing. Edward, meanwhile, is ready to start chipping away at the ice. Xu Xiaowen decides to guide them with some carefully chosen words. He lays out the logic, pointing to the obvious answer below. He hopes his little hint will be enough to get them moving. And Edward immediately catches on, realizing the pick's true purpose. He eagerly volunteers to handle the manual labor himself. A true gentleman. Yuenja is surprised his teammates figured it out so quickly. With a confident smirk, Edward prepares to carve through the ice. His teammates, however, seem less than impressed by his enthusiasm. Chuntian questions his slow method, suggesting they just smash it. But Edward explains they can't risk damaging what's hidden below. Just then, Chuntian shivers, noticing the temperature is plummeting. Yuenja realizes the jury is turning up the cold to rush them. Edward offers his coat back to Chuntian, a true gentleman to the end. With the cold worsening, Yuenja asks for their next move. He knows the building is below, but can't risk revealing his power. He sighs, wishing for a fire user to end this frozen nightmare. Yuenja notes the rapidly dropping temperature, knowing his teammates can't last much longer. Back in the control room, the young observer points out the ice team's slow progress. He explains that Xu Xiaowen seems capable, but always lets others handle the problem. It's as if our boy is actively trying to remain unnoticed. He asks his superior for his thoughts on the mysterious recruit. The observer recalls the snowman's sudden paralysis in the cave. The judge reveals Xu Xiaowen was a special promotion by Lin Miao Miao. He orders his subordinate to bring her in for questioning. Looks like someone's in trouble. All the while, Xu Xiaowen remains completely unaware of the scrutiny. The judge's interest is piqued, his gaze fixed on the new recruit. Edward chips away at the ice, his royal dignity freezing over. Edward despairs, complaining that this test is just one big guessing game. But Yuenja's sharp eyes catch something in the distance. He calls out a warning. They're not alone out here. A monstrous hand descends from the sky, ready to crush them. Chuntian leaps out of the way, narrowly avoiding the blow. The impact sends Edward flying, but Xu Xiaowen remains perfectly still. She retaliates with a powerful punch, meeting the threat head-on. The creature's massive hand grips a tree, its claws digging deep. And another snowman beast emerges, this one much larger and angrier. Apparently they travel in packs. Chuntian and Edward recognize the familiar furry face. And this time the monster has brought the whole family. A chorus of roars echoes across the ice, their eyes glowing with rage. But Xu Xiaowen sees this not as a threat, but as free labor. The team is completely surrounded by a horde of angry snowmen. Yuenja panics, realizing the monsters have called for backup. But his panic is just an act. It's time to put on a show for the judges. Chuntian is unfazed, ready to take them all down just like the last one. Edward draws his elegant foil, preparing for this next round. With a dramatic flourish, he declares, "It's time to get serious." But Edward vows that no souls will fall to his blade. He rushes into the fray, challenging the beast to tremble before him. But Xu Xiaowen shouts for him to keep them alive for ice-cutting duty. The horde of snowmen just stands there, completely motionless. Chuntian is baffled, questioning why they've suddenly stopped. Xu Xiaowen looks on, a plan already forming in his mind. He notes his power suppressor has worn off, deciding to just watch. Edward stands his ground, facing down two of the hulking beasts. But he's completely confused, wondering what they're even doing. A monster roars, but its tongue glows with a strange, heart-shaped energy. Edward is suddenly engulfed in a strange, hypnotic energy. His expression shifts from confusion to a dawning, blissful realization. He collapses in a state of pure ecstasy. Apparently, this is his kind of fight. Wenja can only stare, his brain completely short-circuiting. Chuntian rushes forward to save him, but Yuan-jae tries to hold her back. He despairs, wondering if they can just conserve energy and let this play out. But Edward is on the ground, begging the snowmen for more of their special attack. Chuntian runs to his side, asking if he's okay, but he's clearly having a great time. She shakes him frantically, demanding to know what the monsters have done. Yenja just facepalms, utterly disgusted by the entire scene. The snowmen unleash another wave of their strange, hypnotic power. Chuntian is caught in the blast, shielding herself from the bizarre energy. She's completely disoriented, questioning the strange feeling washing over her. The energy takes hold, a warmth spreading through her despite the cold. Overcome by a phantom heat, she begins to shed her winter clothes. But a firm hand on her shoulder tries to snap her back to reality. It's too late. She's lost in the illusion, her inhibitions melting away. She turns to Xu Xiaowen, trying to pull him into her heat-induced haze. But our boy is completely immune, calmly denying her feverish claims. The monster roars again, clearly frustrated by his lack of participation. The monster unleashes another blast of its hypnotic roar. His teammates are completely lost in the bizarre illusion, but Xu Xiaowen is just annoyed by this entire situation. He decides he can't let this continue any longer. He closes his eyes, preparing to end this nonsense. His eyes snap open, his plan to lay low now completely ruined. A powerful, oppressive aura erupts from his body. The snowmen recoil, their hypnotic attack instantly broken. One of them collapses, completely overwhelmed by his presence. Its hand hits the ground, the fight over in an instant. With the monsters neutralized, Xu Xiaowen stands alone, his cover completely blown. The wind howls across the desolate frozen peaks. The snowmen are left with their minds completely scrambled by his power. Even the little creature can only cry, its parent now completely incapacitated. But the psychic backlash has also knocked Chuntian out cold. She collapses into the snow, the illusion finally broken. Xu Xiaowen can only sigh, so much for having a competent team. Just then the tracker chimes, showing the other team is pulling ahead. He looks out at the endless mountains, his task now a solo mission. Alone in the blizzard, he has to find a way out, and fast. He's made a makeshift shelter from the defeated snowman's hide, and with his teammates safe, he calmly tends to a roaring fire. He watches over them, the only one left standing after the chaos. Edward is the first to wake, completely disoriented and confused. He can't remember a thing, but Xu Xiaowen tells him to get up. But his legs are like jelly, completely devoid of strength. He demands to know what happened, his panic growing by the second. Xu Xiaowen offers a deadpan diagnosis of severe overexertion. Just then, Chuntian begins to stir from her own psychic slumber. But her first waking thought is a panicked cry about her missing clothes. Xu Xiaowen calmly tells the shivering Chuntian not to worry. He explains he stopped her in time, so nothing inappropriate happened. She can only sit in embarrassed silence, clutching her clothes. Edward, now recovered, asks what happened to the snowman horde. Xu Xiaowen casually gestures over his shoulder with a thumb. The once fearsome beasts are now huddled together in the snow. They're weeping as they chip away at the ice. Free labor is the best labor. Edward is completely stunned by this impossible turn of events. Back at the fire, Xu Xiaowen admits he can't fool them any longer. He reveals he's a psychic, claiming he hypnotized the beasts. He's relieved Lin Miao Miao didn't register his specific ability. Yuan-jae accepts the explanation, noting psychics are useful for their division. Back in the control room, the young observer watches the team's progress. He questions Lin Miao Miao's motives for bringing in an unregistered psychic. Xu Xiaowen casually checks on the progress of their new ice-cutting crew. The beast is clearly terrified of its new, very unimpressed supervisor. He considers the situation as the monster points out its hard work. And just like that, the beasts have carved a massive hole in the ice. Yenju is impressed, wondering how strong a true high-level psychic must be. With the path cleared, Xu Xiaowen announces it's time to descend. Edward flashes a confident smile, ready for the next phase. Chuntian eagerly agrees, her spirits high despite the cold. Without hesitation, Edward and Chuntian leap into the icy chasm. Xu Xiaowen tells the giant beast its work is done here. He then casually dismisses his new, very depressed workforce. They land in a vast chamber, a hidden world beneath the ice. In the center of the room is a strange circular platform, and on it, a single unmistakable keyhole. So much for a complex puzzle. Yuanja steps forward, holding the key that will unlock their path. He inserts the key, ready to face whatever lies ahead. The tracker chimes, showing the ice team is now at 60% completion. Back in the temple, the desert team is still trapped by the stone guardians. The analyst shouts, demanding to know how the pink-haired twin got across the floor. Her eyes narrow, her expression focused and determined. She casually explains she just walked and jumped over without a second thought. Frustrated, the analyst begs her to retrace her exact steps. She recalls her path. 2 steps left, then a 2-tile jump. The analyst repeats her words, trying to visualize the sequence. She smiles, confirming that was indeed her brilliant, unplanned strategy. The gears in his head turn, he's finally found the pattern. He deduces the trap is linked to the 6x6 grid on the floor. A flash of insight hits him. Her path was the key to disarming it. He desperately asks her to recall the exact tiles she stepped on, but she can't remember, leaving the analyst to question his life choices. She then offers a simpler solution. Just walk around the giant statues. The analyst sighs, explaining the test would never be that easy. She scoffs, suggesting they just destroy the guardians before the trap is even sprung. Without waiting for an answer, she rushes past her stunned teammate. With a confident smile, she declares that she'll handle this herself. He begs her to wait, but she's already gone, certain her martial arts are enough. She declares that soon, this will all be over. With a battle cry, she charges headfirst at the 2 stone giants. Her teammates can only watch, wondering if the statues have moved. The analyst screams a desperate warning for her to watch out. But one of the guardians is already powering up a devastating attack. The team leader realizes the statue is about to unleash a massive blast. It fires a beam of pure energy aimed directly at the reckless twin. She freezes, realizing she has no way to avoid the incoming attack. But at the last second, her team leader leaps in front of her. He takes the full force of the blast, shielding her from the blow. Chunhua can only watch as the energy beam descends upon her. The analyst screams a warning as she's sent flying by the blast. Her leader unleashes his own power, yelling for her to get clear. But she just gives a casual thumbs up as she's thrown through the air. He grits his teeth, pushing his power to its absolute limit. The shockwave sends Chunhua tumbling away from the impact zone. The temple is rocked by the explosion, debris raining from the ceiling. With the threat neutralized, he stands as the sole protector of his team. The analyst breathes a sigh of relief, admitting he was terrified. He then scolds Chunhua, reminding her this is an intelligence test, because clearly she forgot. Chunhua can only offer a quiet, embarrassed apology for her mistake. Her leader asks the analyst if her attack was what triggered the guardians. The analyst's eyes narrow, the pieces finally clicking into place. He realizes this isn't a puzzle, but a test of their judgment. He explains they need to gather data by testing the guardians' reactions. The team leader volunteers, telling the analyst to focus on the solution. The analyst is confused by his sudden heroic offer. The leader simply says he'll take his place on the front line. With a single step, he moves forward to face the danger. He promises to get them all through this safely. What a guy. The leader tells him not to worry, he'll find a way to handle it. The analyst then scolds Chunhua, ordering her to follow their lead from now on. He replays her path in his mind, trying to find the hidden logic. Her movements suggest the left side of the grid is a safe zone, which means the right side is a carefully constructed death trap. He realizes any action on the wrong tile will trigger the guardians. The box and the floor are linked, a key part of the puzzle. He struggles to find the rule that governs this deadly game. He knows the judges wouldn't make it random. There has to be a pattern. He turns to Chunhua, asking her to remember exactly where she jumped. Chunhua clutches her head, desperately trying to remember her path. She explains her memory is hazy, but she landed near the middle. The analyst questions her vague answer, needing absolute certainty. She clarifies that after landing, she walked a few steps to her spot. She's sure she didn't just jump directly to her final position. A sudden realization strikes the analyst with incredible force. He excitedly theorizes the grid is based on the ancient Luoshu square. The team leader considers the pattern, seeing how 4 tiles form a palace. He deduces the odd-numbered palaces are dangerous, wondering if the even ones are safe. The analyst issues a challenge, asking if he dares to find out. The team leader smiles, ready to test the dangerous theory himself. The analyst orders Chunhua to carefully observe the guardian's movements. With a steady foot, the leader steps onto the glowing red tile. He dodges with incredible speed as the trap is sprung. He lands on another tile, warning his team to stay perfectly still. The stone giants remain motionless, waiting for their next trigger. Confident in his theory, the analyst tells Chunhua to test the safe zone. She tentatively steps onto the tile, bracing for an attack. But nothing happens, and she celebrates their correct guess. The analyst smirks, impressed by his own brilliant deduction. Chunhua is completely blown away by his brilliant deduction. She asks how he could possibly have figured out the ancient puzzle. He plays it cool, claiming it was just a lucky guess. But their leader praises him, calling him a human supercomputer. Chunhua is finally convinced, promising to respect his intellect. With the path clear, they wonder if the final door holds another trap. The analyst is confident the guardians won't move from a safe tile. He points to a keypad, certain it follows the same ancient pattern. With a few confident taps, he inputs the correct sequence. The team leader watches, his expression unreadable as they near the end. The heavy door clicks open, revealing their next challenge. The team cautiously peers inside, bracing for another trap. But all they find is a single tempting red button. So this is how it ends. The analyst deduces that with no other clues, this must be the way forward. With no other choice, Chunhua reaches out and presses the button. Instantly, the entire chamber begins to collapse around them. But the analyst remains calm, his resolve unshaken. His tracker chimes, confirming both teams have now completed the first stage. The ground gives way, revealing a long staircase leading down. He realizes this is the final descent, the end of the first trial. Chunhua worries about another trap, but the analyst knows they have no choice. With grim determination, the desert team descends into the unknown. The analyst is confident, certain the judges wouldn't bother with another trap here. He confirms the first stage is over. This is the final race to the finish. But as they walk, Chunhua can only hope her sister is safe. They reach the bottom, a single door separating them from the end of the test. It opens to a vast room with one objective, a single, tempting red button. The analyst is surprised to find they're the first ones here. But his victory is cut short as the ice team literally crashes the party. They land in a heap, and Chuntian immediately calls out for her sister. Edward offers a condescending greeting to the rival team's leader. The desert team stands united, sizing up their opponents. The two teams finally meet, a tense standoff before the final race. The analyst worries, feeling outmatched by the ice team's raw power. Chunhua notices her sister's disheveled state, wondering what battle she just survived. But Edward is more concerned with his appearance because priorities. The analyst realizes this isn't a test of wits, but of pure will. With the goal in sight, the ice team makes a mad dash for the button. Chunhua questions her sister's betrayal, but Chuntian is focused only on winning. The words hit her hard, the reality of the competition finally sinking in. Chunhua is stunned by her sister's sudden confidence, as Chuntian declares she's no longer the weaker twin. With a determined cry, Chuntian sprints ahead, ready to claim victory for herself. But her sister's hand clamps down on her wrist, stopping her cold. Chunhua holds her back, refusing to let her abandon their team. Chuntian struggles, insisting the exam isn't over yet. As another recruit joins the fray, Chunhua questions what's gotten into her sister. She's shocked by this new, defiant attitude from her once timid twin. Chuntian begs her to let go, promising they can sort this out later. But Chunhua holds firm, refusing to be abandoned in the final moments. Chuntian's patience finally shatters, and the sisterly dispute turns violent. Chunhua explodes, grabbing her sister's hair in a fit of rage. But Chuntian fires back, accusing her of a lifetime of jealousy. The argument devolves into a full-on cartoonish brawl. The other recruits can only watch, completely bewildered by the display. They debate intervening, but the analyst knows the judges are watching. The desert team's leader smirks, seeing this as a perfect way to stall. He approaches Chuntian, admitting he's curious about something. He notes her quiet nature during training seemed like introversion. She seems genuinely surprised by their perception of her. Edward sees an opportunity for gossip, suggesting a little chat. Chuntian explains her sister's overprotective nature is holding her back. But the desert team's leader sees the truth. She craves approval, not protection. He then proposes a plan to settle things once and for all. The sisterly dispute escalates, with Chunhua taunting her twin about their age difference. The insults fly as their argument turns into a full-blown brawl. The other recruits can only watch in terror. Truly, a fate worse than monsters. The leader's plan is working, though their acting is a little too convincing. He reveals his strategy: stall the enemy team and let one of the twins win. It's a genius move to manipulate the scores and secure a safe position for himself. But a hand on his shoulder cuts his internal monologue short. Edward offers to hold off Yuan-Jie while the leader secures the win. The leader agrees, deciding to handle another recruit himself. With a quick gesture, they seal their temporary, self-serving alliance. And with a decisive step, the final race officially begins. Both teams sprint forward, each looking for a tactical advantage. But Yuanja is a step ahead, dodging Edward's clumsy attempt to trip him. Edward denies any foul play, his elegant foil now drawn. He declares himself an honest man. Sure, buddy, whatever you say. The desert team's leader steps in, telling the analyst to hit the button, but the analyst is completely stunned by this sudden change of plans. A powerful force erupts, catching the analyst completely off guard. He braces himself, noting the sudden and intense pressure, but a sudden realization hits him. His plan was flawed from the start. Another recruit panics, realizing he's been led into a dead end. He turns away, his mind racing with the consequences of this test. He realizes his team came in second, not last, so maybe he's safe. Maybe... But he's still confused, wondering how the final scores will be tallied. He spirals into a full-blown panic, regretting ever joining the association. The analyst watches him, wondering why he isn't being stopped. He decides to ignore the bizarre display and focus on the objective. Edward roars, declaring his sword and his will are one. He unleashes a massive energy wave, vowing no one will pass. But Yuanja's gaze is cold, completely unfazed by the threat. The desert leader notes the attack is strong enough to stop a level 5. Edward screams a warning, telling Yuanja he'll be torn apart. But Yuanja just gathers his own crackling blue energy. He concentrates the power, ready to meet the attack head-on. With a single thrust, he unleashes a devastating counterblast. Edward can only watch in disbelief as the two forces collide. The resulting explosion rocks the chamber, a clash of titans. Yuanja's power shatters Edward's attack, sending him flying. Edward can only stare as his elegant foil is broken. But Yuanja isn't finished, declaring it's now his turn. Edward panics, begging him not to take this so seriously. The desert leader realizes he's trapped and must find a way out. The analyst notes Yuanja's overkill, but questions Xu Xiaowen's inaction. He sees that with their leader injured, Yuanja's team is also stalled. But the true wild card is Xu Xiaowen, a complete and utter mystery. The desert leader and Edward share a look, a new alliance forming. The leader declares they must first eliminate the biggest threat. But the alliance was a lie. The desert leader attacks everyone at once. Edward can only curse, completely blindsided by the betrayal. A powerful kick connects, sending the flamboyant recruit flying. He's thrown across the room, his part in this fight now over. Suddenly, the desert leader has a brilliant, if selfish, idea. He realizes he doesn't need to win, just keep the teams from finishing. He scans the room, looking for a way to execute his plan unnoticed. And with a confident smirk, he spots his opportunity. He shouts encouragement to Edward, playing the part of a concerned ally. He then tells Chuntian he's going for help. A classic "I'll be right back" maneuver. The desert leader is confident his plan to manipulate the teams is working perfectly. But the analyst is completely baffled, questioning his leader's sanity. The leader waves, trying to get the attention of the brawling sisters. They finally stop, turning to him with matching expressions of pure annoyance. He tries to play peacemaker, but they just yell back in perfect, angry unison. He offers words of comfort, a carefully crafted lie to escalate the conflict. His true goal is to fan the flames of their sibling rivalry. A truly stand-up guy. But another voice cuts in, and Chuntian turns, confused by Xu Xiaowen's sudden question. He reminds her of her desire to step out from her sister's shadow. Enraged, Chunhua tells him to stay out of their family business. The desert leader leans in, preying on Chunhua's deepest insecurities. He offers a condescending reassurance, fanning the flames of her jealousy. Internally, he celebrates, hoping her anger will fuel the chaos. But his plan backfires as the sisters unite to punch him simultaneously. He's sent flying, and Chuntian is stunned by their shared outburst. The master manipulator tumbles through the air, taken out by his own scheme. Meanwhile, Edward prepares to settle things with Yuanjia. But their fight quickly devolves into a cartoonish, one-sided beatdown. Yuanjia grabs the flamboyant recruit, ready to throw him at the objective. And with everyone distracted, the analyst makes a mad dash for the win. But his mad dash is cut short by a massive, fiery explosion. Another recruit lunges forward, shouting a desperate warning. He grabs the analyst's leg, pulling him back from the blast zone. The button, and the floor around it, have been completely obliterated. The twin sisters look on, wondering if they hit the desert leader a little too hard. Sometime later, Jin Shan stands before the class, ready to deliver the verdict. The screen behind her confirms it's time for the ranking announcement. The recruits can only glare at each other, the tension from the test still palpable. She calls them out for turning an intelligence test into a complete combat free-for-all, and since no one pressed the button, the ranking is canceled and their bonuses are docked. Welcome to the association. Xu Xiaowen is just relieved he survived another near-death experience. The twin sisters sit in stunned silence, realizing Xu Xiaowen is a bigger problem than they thought. Edward weeps over his lost bonus, while Xu Xiaowen is just glad to be alive. But Jinshan steps forward, ready to deliver the final results of the test. The desert team's leader is confident he's safe from the top spot. He tries to reassure himself, certain he's avoided any unwanted attention. But a flicker of doubt remains as he glances back at the class. He recalls Xu Xiaowen's strange, restrained behavior throughout the training. He knows our boy could have won easily but chose not to. As the projector whirs to life, the final judgment is about to be revealed. Jinshan explains the judge's scoring criteria for the now cancelled final objective. The desert team's leader grits his teeth, sweating with anticipation. Xu Xiaowen silently prays, promising to fast for 3 days if he's spared. Wenjie watches him, surprised by his sudden and intense nervousness. With a slight smile, Jinshan prepares to announce the top-ranked recruit. Xu Xiaowen's face contorts in pure terror, bracing for the worst. And the first-place winner is announced, the stoic and powerful Yuanjie. Xu Xiaowen shoots up from his seat, his expression a mix of shock and relief. Jinshan turns to him, asking if he's somehow dissatisfied with the results. But he just slumps back down, quietly admitting he has no complaints. A chibi Xu Xiaowen erupts in a silent, victorious cheer. He congratulates himself, having passed the ultimate test, staying unnoticed. But Jinshan isn't finished, preparing to announce the last-place recruit. Her gaze falls on Chunhua, asking if she accepts her ranking. The pink-haired twin can only bow her head in silent defeat. Jinshan reveals their punishment comes directly from Chief Lin. Chunhua turns to her sister, the weight of her actions sinking in. But Edward glances over, a smirk on his face as he observes our boy. He asks Xu Xiaowen what's wrong, noticing his strange reaction. With tears of pure relief, Xu Xiaowen insists he's perfectly fine. Edward tries to console him, thinking he's upset about the rankings. Jinshan explains the test was a lesson in avoiding real-world mistakes. She dismisses them, ordering them to return tomorrow to meet Chief Lin. With a final wave, the instructor takes her leave. Edward congratulates Yuanjie, noting his impressive thunder abilities. But Yuanjie turns to Xu Xiaowen, asking if he's part of the Yuan family. The question leaves Edward completely stunned and confused. But our boy is already skipping down the hall, eager to escape. He happily calls the elevator, his 3-day ordeal finally over. Elsewhere, a young woman worries about a colleague being sent back to work while still injured. A woman with glasses confirms they'll meet the new members tomorrow. She and a young boy watch as Xu Xiaowen leaves his apartment. Our boy stretches, practically glowing with the joy of mediocrity. The young boy recognizes him, questioning his cheerful demeanor. Xu Xiaowen waves goodbye, completely oblivious to his observers. Elsewhere, Lin Miao Miao takes a very serious phone call. She's given 1 week to pay her debt or face a grim alternative. But she hangs up with a smile, completely unconcerned by the threat. Classic. Back at the apartment, Xu Xiaowen notes her surprising calm. He calls her out for buying lipstick while loan sharks are at the door. Lin Miao Miao ties up her hair, offering a strange bit of philosophy. She believes a solution will always present itself in the end. And it seems her solution is sitting right in front of him. She reminds him that he's her personal walking ATM. But Xu Xiaowen is still furious about the near-death training test. She offers to compensate him, but he's not interested in her games. She explains her debtor's grim terms for late payments, so she offers herself to Xu Xiaowen instead. A truly generous offer. But our boy just tells her to get off his lap, completely unimpressed. He clarifies their relationship is purely professional, nothing more. Her eyes narrow, a new plan already taking shape. But their moment is interrupted by Wang Yike, who bursts in with new information, and she walks in on a very compromising situation. Lin Miao Miao scrambles for an explanation as Xu Xiaowen questions the intrusion. Wang Yike explains the door was open, her innocence making things even more awkward. Her mind immediately jumps to the most obvious and incorrect conclusion. Lin Miao. Miao laughs it off, casually reminding him to lock the door next time. Xu Xiaowen can only sigh, accepting his fate in this house of chaos. She then offers Wang Yike an internship, complete with a very official-looking warning. Lin Miao Miao tells him to act natural, but it's a little late for that. Xu Xiaowen questions why he, as an assistant, had to endure the same brutal training. Lin Miao Miao explains the association's long-standing interest in the Wang clan. Wang Yike offers a quiet apology, feeling responsible for his ordeal. He tries to reassure her, calling them colleagues, which only seems to upset her more. But Lin Miao Miao cuts in, ready to get down to business. Xu Xiaowen takes full responsibility for Chunhua's last-place ranking. But Lin Miao Miao quickly shuts him down, having already reviewed the footage. He insists he was the one who instigated the fight between the sisters. A truly noble sacrifice. She dismisses his guilt, certain Chunhua was destined for last place regardless. She explains that anyone who can't control their emotions in a test is a liability in the field. But Xu Xiaowen's expression is one of pure skepticism. He accepts her decision, but his silence speaks volumes. He changes the subject, asking what's for dinner. Lin Miao Miao offers a very inappropriate alternative. Wang Yike is horrified, suggesting barbecue instead. But Xu Xiaowen explains his bonus is gone, a casualty of the test. The news sends Lin Miao Miao into a sudden furious rage. Wang Yike can only watch, confused by her sudden outburst. Lin Miao Miao reveals she just bought time from her creditors. So much for that plan. Her frustration finally boils over, aimed directly at her money tree. With the money crisis temporarily averted, Xu Xiaowen asks about their dinner preferences. Lin Miao Miao is fine with spice, while Wang Yike is happy to go with the flow. He rushes in with a steaming bowl, yelling for something to protect the table. Lin Miao Miao improvises, using a book as a makeshift trivet. Wang Yike is relieved, noting the coffee table is a recent addition. A flashback shows the three of them have been busy redecorating the apartment. Xu Xiaowen explains he's cooking, promising a real meal out when their bonus arrives. Lin Miao Miao teases Wang Yike, surprised a clan heiress worries about prices. Wang Yike admits her failed escape attempts taught her the value of money. Lin Miao Miao points out that joining the association earlier would have solved everything. Wang Yike wonders if her sister had other darker plans for her. But Lin Miao quickly changes the subject, proposing a toast. The three of them raise their cups, a small moment of peace. Xu Xiaowen reflects on his past lives, a cycle of endless struggle. He watches the two women laugh, a warmth he's never known before. Lin Miao Miao's arrival has completely upended his plans for this life. He takes a drink, the moment sinking in. But for the first time, he thinks this chaotic life isn't so bad. His thoughts are interrupted as Lin Miao Miao calls out his name. She asks him a question he never expected. Has he ever been in love? Xu Xiaowen is completely thrown by her sudden personal question. Lin Miao Miao explains she's just curious about his type. He mulls over the question, the concept of love completely foreign, but she quickly drops the subject, turning back to the meal. She then mutters that only a complete fool would ever fall for him. He tries to steer the conversation back to her massive debts, but a sudden silence makes him look up from his bowl. He realizes both women have completely passed out on the couch. Lightweight division, apparently. He's stunned by their incredibly low alcohol tolerance. With a sigh, he scolds the two unconscious women for their recklessness. He tries to wake Lin Miao Miao, telling her to go to her own bed, but his efforts are met with silence, leaving him completely exasperated. He sighs, realizing he can't just leave them on the couch all night. It's clear they're not going to be waking up anytime soon. But even in her sleep, Lin Miao Miao is still negotiating their bonus. With a sigh, he lifts her up as she complains about a stomachache. He carries her to her room, scolding her for drinking so much. He gently tucks her into bed, his landlord duties apparently never ending. But just as he turns to leave, she grabs his shirt, demanding to know what he's doing. The sudden move leaves our boy completely frozen in shock. He realizes she's still completely out of it, muttering about being thirsty. He tells the unconscious woman he'll get her water later, trying to escape the situation. With Lin Miao Miao finally settled, he makes a quiet exit from her room. He returns to the living room, where Wang Yike is still passed out on the couch. He notes that, unlike her chaotic roommate, Wang Yike sleeps peacefully. With a sigh, he picks her up, his landlord duties apparently extending to bedtime service. He carries the second unconscious woman to her room for the night. After tucking her in, he quietly closes the door behind him. Alone in the hall, he wishes Lin Miao Miao could be as quiet as her friend. His expression is a mix of exhaustion and quiet contemplation. But his quiet night is interrupted by an unwelcome guest. It's Wang Yihan, questioning his lack of interest in the two drunk women. But Xu Xiaowen is completely unmoved by her sudden appearance. She explains that her sister ran away from home to find him, and now she accuses him of abducting Wang Yike. He calmly explains that his tenant is an adult who makes her own choices. Wang Yihan turns, comparing her sister to an unbloomed flower. She warns that the wrong influence could ruin her. A very normal, not at all creepy metaphor. Xu Xiaowen calls her out, questioning her need to control everyone. But she insists Wang Yike owes a debt to the family that raised her. He questions her privilege, asking if a controlled life is something to be proud of. His words hit their mark, leaving the clan matriarch completely stunned. But she fires back, belittling her sister's power and ambition. She insists he'll never understand the advantages Wang Yike was given. But their argument is interrupted by a quiet voice from the hall. Wang Yihan turns, composing herself as her sister appears. It's Wang Yike, surprised to find her sister is still here. She asks if her sister was asleep, revealing she heard everything. So much for a quiet night. Wang Yihan realizes her mistake, internally blaming Xu Xiaowen for the confrontation. She plays it cool, asking if Wang Yike is ready to be taken back home. But Wang Yike's expression is firm, her resolve now unshakable. Xu Xiaowen steps in, telling Wang Yihan to leave her tenant alone. But Wang Yike insists this is her own decision, not his. She tells him to stay out of it, ordering her sister to go home. Wang Yihan proposes a bet, certain her sister will follow her. Xu Xiaowen's eyes narrow, ready to accept the challenge. Wang Yihan dismisses this as pre-wedding nerves, a simple tantrum. She turns to leave, expecting her sister to obediently follow. But Wang Yike just watches her go, her decision already made. And with a decisive slam, Xu Xiaowen shuts the door on the clan matriarch. With the drama over, he tells Wang Yike not to worry about her sister. She quietly thanks him before heading to bed, leaving him to wonder why he's so angry. The door clicks shut, leaving him alone with his thoughts. He regrets his words, worried he only made things more awkward for her. The next day, it's back to business at the association headquarters. But first, Xu Xiaowen laments the repair costs for his trusty scooter. He offers a silent prayer to his vehicle. A man has his priorities, but a voice calls out, breaking his moment of spiritual connection. It's Yuan Zhe, the top recruit, asking if they can head in together. He makes small talk, asking about Xu Xiaowen's delivery job. But Xu Xiaowen is wary, noting Yuan Zhe's strange and persistent interest. Wenja brings up the fight with the twins, brushing off his injuries with a smile. Our boy isn't fooled, deciding it's best to avoid this guy in the future. Yenja then pivots, asking about the one ability that was never revealed. Xu Xiaowen offers a vague, unhelpful answer about being spiritual. But Yuanja's expression hardens. He's clearly not satisfied with that answer. His eyes narrow, his patience for games completely gone. And without warning, he unleashes a massive blast of pure lightning. So much for small talk. The attack surges forward, aimed directly at the unsuspecting Xu Xiaowen. A massive explosion of blue energy engulfs the entire hallway. Wanju is stunned, realizing his lightning was absorbed by a distortion. A swirling vortex of energy appears, neutralizing the blast completely, but a new voice cuts in, calling out a name from the past. A silver-haired man appears, his own power crackling around him. The Yuan family's young master asks if the man is ready to die for his sins. Talk about a warm welcome. The scene shifts and the green-jacketed man questions his supposed crimes. He insists he's not the one who started this fight. He questions if the death of one sister is worth sacrificing everyone else. But the young master just smirks, telling him to blame the real mastermind. The man is left confused, demanding to know who's pulling the strings. The silver-haired man grins maniacally, claiming no one knows the truth. The green-jacketed man unleashes a furious blast, demanding answers, but his opponent just smirks, calling him arrogant for even trying. He casually erects a fluid wall, not even bothering to face him. The massive energy attack crashes against the barrier, completely absorbed. The lightning dissipates, neutralized without any visible effort. The attacker can only stare in shock, his power rendered useless. Nearby, another man tries to walk away, insisting this isn't his problem. But he pauses, a flicker of concern crossing his face. He turns, recognizing the power as a legendary fantasy killer. The bystander laments Yuanju's terrible luck in facing this opponent. The silver-haired man roars, furious about his fallen comrades. He lunges forward, throwing a powerful, vengeful punch. But the green-jacketed man meets the blow with his own fist. The force of the impact sends the attacker stumbling backward. But the defender spits blood, the block taking a heavy toll. Unrelenting, the silver-haired man follows up with a vicious kick. The attack connects, shattering the ground around them. He smirks, confident that his assault was successful. But Xu Xiaowen panics, realizing he can't just stand by and watch. The green-jacketed man struggles, haunted by his sister's death. But there's no time for grief as another attack comes flying in. The silver-haired man lunges forward, his face a mask of rage. In a desperate move, the defender catches his opponent's arm. The attacker smirks, surprised by this show of physical strength. But the green-jacketed man knows he's outmatched, his power useless. He's sent flying by a brutal kick, crashing to the ground. Talk about a bad day at the office. With nothing left to lose, he summons a storm of crackling energy. He unleashes a massive wave of lightning, a final, desperate gambit. But his opponent dodges with ease, the attack completely missing its mark. The silver-haired man grins, mocking his opponent's foolishness. But the lightning attack continues to surge forward with incredible force. He scoffs, declaring the desperate move completely useless. He claims he was only toying with him until now, a simple restraint. The green-jacketed man closes his eyes, gathering his remaining power. He knows he has one last chance to turn this fight around, but instead of attacking, he turns the lightning inward. He roars in agony, channeling the raw energy into his own body. His opponent realizes he's using the electricity to amplify his strength. A truly shocking development. Now powered up, the green-jacketed man demands answers about the true mastermind. But the silver-haired man just smirks, asking what a dead man can do with a secret. He dismisses the power-up as a desperate, meaningless gesture. With a confident smile, he prepares to end this little rebellion. But the green-jacketed man is already in motion, his fist crackling with power. He lands a devastating punch, the lightning-infused blow connecting squarely. The silver-haired man stumbles back, his arrogant smirk finally wiped from his face. He's furious, questioning how he dared to punch his very expensive face. Without a word, the green-jacketed man twists him into a brutal throw. He slams his opponent into the ground, the impact creating a massive shockwave. The silver-haired man coughs in the dust, the fight suddenly not going his way. The silver-haired man coughs up blood, the taste of defeat bitter in his mouth. He looks around, dazed, wondering how this fight ended up at a family fun center. His eyes narrow with a mix of pain and pure, unadulterated rage. The green-jacketed man stands over him, crackling with borrowed power. He demands to know who's pulling the strings behind this entire conspiracy. But his opponent just glares back, shouting for him to reveal the truth. The green-jacketed man gathers a vortex of energy, his patience completely gone. He unleashes the power, demanding his captive finally start talking. The silver-haired man can only scream as the energy tears through him. With glowing eyes, the interrogator loses himself completely to his rage. But the borrowed power comes at a terrible price. He coughs up blood, his own body breaking down under the strain. But his opponent just grins, savoring every moment of the brutal fight. He mocks the man's weakness as he crashes to the ground. With a cruel hand, he grabs his defeated foe by the hair. He forces him to his knees, promising a slow and painful end. A nostalgic smile spreads across his face. He's clearly a people person. The battle rages on, shaking the very foundations of the city. The silver-haired man prepares to deliver the final fatal strike. And with his opponent broken, the fight finally comes to an end. The silver-haired man struggles to his feet, annoyed by his opponent's resilience. He stands over the fallen man, questioning his right to use such power. He taunts him, recalling how his sister stared at them as she died. With a cruel smile, he mimics her desperate pleas for them to stop. He leans in close, his words a final venomous twist of the knife. And back in reality, Xu Xiaowen is completely and utterly unimpressed. He just stands by his scooter, wondering what he just witnessed. Suddenly, a hand reaches into his basket, grabbing a floral cloth. The mysterious person tucks the handkerchief into their back pocket. Elsewhere, the silver-haired man is on the phone, warning someone to stay away. He confirms his orders, blood dripping from his lip. The silver-haired man stands, his expression cold and resolved. He looms over his fallen foe, blaming the Yuan family's influence. With a final furious glare, he prepares to end this. He launches a devastating kick, aimed to kill, but a hand intercepts the blow. A mysterious figure in a floral scarf. The impact shatters the ground, a testament to the blocked power. A massive cloud of dust and debris erupts from the clash. The silver-haired man can only stare, his mind reeling in disbelief. And the mysterious hero asks if anyone has seen their keys. Priorities, you know. The silver-haired man is stunned, unable to believe his kick was caught. He demands to know who this stranger is, but our boy just wants his car keys. The attacker screams, demanding answers from the mysterious newcomer. Xu Xiaowen calmly repeats his story, crouching to search the ground. The silver-haired man finally recognizes him as Yuanjie's companion. Our boy quickly shushes him, worried about attracting the association's attention. A strange fear creeps in, though the man sees no obvious threat. He sizes up Xu Xiaowen, seeing only a scrawny kid with no muscle. Clearly not a threat. Xu Xiaowen spots his keys conveniently pinned under the unconscious Yuanjie. Deciding he's invincible, the silver-haired man lunges forward to attack. And with a swift backhand, Xu Xiaowen slaps the man across the face. The silver-haired man is left completely stunned, unable to process the disrespect. He holds his cheek, questioning if he was actually just hit. Our boy scolds him, reminding him that he was told to be quiet. The man's confusion finally turns to rage, vowing to make him pay. But Xu Xiaowen just hits him again, this time with a little more force. He then lectures the villain on public decency while pelting him with pebbles. As one does. The scene then cuts to the towering association headquarters. The once arrogant attacker now stands bruised, swollen, and utterly defeated, and Zhu Xiaowen stands over the two unconscious men, his work apparently done. He admires the villain's resilience, a true man of steel. With the fight over, he begins dragging the bodies into place. He carefully arranges Yuanzhe's hand into a victory sign. With a satisfied smile, he admires his perfect little setup. The scene is set to prove Yuanzhe was the one who won. Just then, a team of agents rushes down the hall. They hurry towards the commotion, their footsteps echoing. Xu Xiaowen notes the cleanup crew's impeccable timing. Right on cue. A blade slices through the air, a sign of another's arrival. The agents surround the scene, finding the two fallen fighters. The agents shout for their team to secure the area. But Xu Xiaowen is already gone, slipping away unnoticed. From the shadows, a witness saw the entire ridiculous fight. The cleanup crew arrives, confused by the staged victory scene. They identify the defeated man as a notorious level 5 criminal, and they're amazed a rookie managed to take him down. So much for veteran experience. A senior agent barks orders, calling for medics and interrogators. But their work is interrupted by the man who saw it all. He frantically tries to explain they've got the wrong hero. He insists the real winner was a man in a very fashionable floral headscarf. But the agents are completely baffled by his story of a hooded brother. The witness grabs an agent, insisting he can lead them to the real hero. He drags the agent towards a dead-end alley, certain they can catch him. He's completely starstruck, convinced his new idol is a legendary level 6. But his excitement fades as he realizes the alley is completely empty. He looks around, wondering how the man could have simply vanished into thin air. The senior agent calls him back, offering him a job with the cleanup crew. The witness reluctantly agrees, his mind still on the mysterious fighter. He vows to find his new hero, determined to get an autograph. A fanboy is born. The scene then shifts to a quiet, sterile hospital room. A new figure enters the room, her presence immediately commanding attention. A woman with pink hair and glasses looks down, asking if he's managed to die yet. It's Yuanzhe, wrapped head to toe in bandages, surprised to see his section chief. She crosses her arms, questioning why her star recruit is dressed like a mummy. He admits he got carried away, completely forgetting the rules in the heat of battle. She leans in close, reminding him that induction training wasn't a comedy show. Yuanzhe can only stammer, his body too broken to even sit up properly. Her lecture feels less like a scolding and more like a threat of further injury. She sighs, explaining that since the criminal was caught, his punishment is waived. But she leaves him with a final warning. One more screw-up, and he's out for good. But Yuanzhe is haunted by the fight, unable to understand how his opponent returned stronger than ever. He recalls their last battle, certain he'd left the man crippled just a month ago. His section chief tells him to rest, promising to interrogate the captured criminal herself. He then asks about Xu Xiaowen, his memory of the final moments completely blank. She confirms Xu Xiaowen was unharmed and was the one who reported the incident. With no other witnesses, she orders him to focus on his recovery. But Yuanzhe can only stare at the ceiling, his mind fixated on his mysterious foe. The section chief warns him not to act rashly, as his family is also under investigation. She promises to share information, but reminds him the association calls the shots. With her final warning delivered, she turns to leave the hospital room. A door creaks open, revealing the scene inside. Lin Miao Miao finds Xu Xiaowen waiting for her in the hall. He wonders if she's paralyzed given her strange, silent stare, but she cuts right to the chase, accusing him of being involved. He just strikes a pose, asking if she likes his new look. Real subtle, buddy. Later, outside the hospital, the mood is far more serious. He asks what's on her mind as they share some ice cream. She asks if Yuanzhe revealed anything about the fight. She explains the villain had recovered and grown stronger in under a month. Xu Xiaowen adds that even at full strength, Yuanzhe was no match. She admits she understands Yuanzhe's burning anger. She begins to explain what happened 2 months prior. His sister was brutally murdered right in their own home. He could only kneel in the rain, surrounded by her blood. His sister, Yuan Suzhen, was the powerful head of their clan. A single umbrella was held over the tragic scene. Lin Miao Miao was there, trying to offer some small comfort. But the circumstances of her death were a complete mystery. And worse, it seems he was also a victim of the attack. With his sister gone, Yuanzhe was left alone to seek revenge. Lin Miao Miao finishes her story, her expression filled with sorrow, but her tragic tale is met with the sound of snoring. She explodes, furious that he slept through the entire thing. Xu Xiaowen wakes up, blaming his sudden and mysterious fatigue. She demands to know if he heard a single word she said. He panics, trying to cover his tracks with a melted ice cream crisis. But then he asks a surprisingly sharp question about Yuan Suzhen's power. Lin Miao Miao's eyes narrow. She reveals the sister was a level 6. Xu Xiaowen points out the obvious flaw in the story. How could a level 6 fall so easily? She's stunned he caught that detail, but he just offers a cheeky smile. He connects the dots, wondering if this is all about human experimentation. Lin Miao Miao agrees the possibility is terrifyingly high. He recalls Yuanjie's desperate power-up, asking about the Yuan family's secrets. She confirms only the Yuan clan can use that specific thunder ability. Lin Miao Miao lays out her theory. Villains wanted their power, but the family refused. He admits it's just a guess, but he'll get answers from the captured criminal. But Lin Miao Miao suddenly changes the subject, a curious look on her face. She calls him out, questioning his sudden interest in Yuanjie's problems. He brushes it off, claiming it's just gossip, not genuine concern. She lets it go, pulling out her phone to show him a link she just received. She hands him her phone, telling him to see for himself. It's a gossip forum for ability users, and he's the main headline. A post details the legend of the hooded brother, complete with a very flattering sketch. The comments are a mix of disbelief and, of course, fashion inquiries. Lin Miao Miao smirks, asking if he's the mysterious hero of the hour. He's more offended by the kindergarten-level art than the accusation. Xu Xiaowen explains he never would have intervened if he knew there was a witness. She reveals she took the witness's statement, helping to cover his tracks. With the crisis averted, he stands to leave, ready to get back to his delivery job. He walks away, reminding her that a man's still gotta eat. Xu Xiaowen laments his canceled bonus and lack of new assignments. His quiet moment is interrupted by an urgent call to Lin Miao Miao. The news is dire. Their captured villain, Xing Tianxing, has vanished. She notes the timing is just a little too convenient for their interrogation, but Xu Xiaowen isn't surprised, calling it a classic villain trope. He deduces this means the conspiracy runs far deeper than they thought. Lin Miao Miao orders him back to headquarters to investigate immediately, but our boy has more important things to do, like his 5 takeout deliveries. She can only stare, completely baffled by his dedication to the gig economy. He confirms with dead seriousness that his delivery job is his top priority. She screams for Xu Xiaowen to stop, but he just keeps on walking. Her frustration boils over, a chibi version of her kicking a bench in pure rage. But her angry outburst ends with a painful fall. So much for dramatic exits. The scene shifts to the towering headquarters of the association. Inside, a much more composed Lin Miao Miao gets down to business. She and her team are baffled, questioning how a prisoner could just vanish. With grim determination, she orders a full lockdown of the building. A secretary reports that no surveillance footage has captured the escapee. Lin Miao Miao can only stare out the window, confirming he disappeared into thin air. She wonders if the cameras were tampered with, her gaze falling on an empty hospital bed. The handcuffs lie on the empty bed, checked and cleared by logistics. Her subordinate confirms the restraints should have been foolproof. But Lin Miao Miao knows there's only one explanation: a spatial ability user. She immediately demands a list of every teleporter in the association. The subordinate questions if she's suggesting there's a spy in their ranks. But Lin Miao Miao shuts her down, ordering her to just follow the command. The agent can only bow in compliance to her section chief. Lin Miao Miao is left to wonder how he vanished the moment she stepped away. She turns her frustration on the guards who were supposed to be watching him. She demands to know if they actually saw him disappear. Apparently, watching was a loose term. The guards offer a flimsy excuse. He vanished the moment they blinked. Lin Miao Miao's patience has officially run out. She orders a full review of every single surveillance tape. A door creaks open, signaling a change of scene. She returns to her office, finding a silver-haired woman waiting. The woman greets her warmly, a familiar face in the chaos. Lin Miao Miao immediately asks for an update on Wenjie's condition. She clutches her head, overwhelmed by the data and the stress. Her subordinate notices her foul mood, asking what's wrong. With a grim expression, Lin Miao Miao delivers the news. Their prisoner is gone. Her subordinate is stunned, questioning if this was an inside job. Lin Miao Miao is certain it was, furious it happened under her watch. And she's clearly handling the stress with her usual grace. Her subordinate then presents a strange black card she found in the door. She admits she's already examined it, finding nothing unusual. But Lin Miao Miao holds the card, seeing the single triangle as a clear warning. Her subordinate realizes the timing is too perfect to be a coincidence. The name Xing Tianxing reignites Lin Miao Miao's fury. She'd hoped to get answers about the Yuan family from him. Her subordinate's expression turns to one of pity for Yuanjie. She knows he'll be crushed when he learns his only lead has escaped. Lin Miao Miao knows they have to find Yuanzhou before he's discharged. As for the card, she'll send it to logistics for a full analysis. Her subordinate sits quietly, the weight of the situation sinking in. But her mood suddenly shifts, asking about the hooded brother post. She explains the legend is growing, with a manhunt for the mysterious hero. Lin Miao Miao leans in close, startling her subordinate with her intensity. She whispers that the true identity of the hooded brother is, and her subordinate screams Xu Xiaowen's name in utter shock. The revelation sends her into a full-blown chibi panic. So much for keeping a secret. But Lin Miao Miao quickly silences her, demanding she keep this a secret. Her mind reels, unable to connect the dots between her boss's assistant and the legend. Meanwhile, Xu Xiaowen is back at his old delivery haunt. The owner swats a fly, a moment of mundane calm. He greets our boy, surprised he hasn't quit his delivery job yet. Xu Xiaowen just smiles, explaining he's juggling 2 jobs now. The owner is impressed, thinking the kid has a bright future. But as Xu Xiaowen prepares to leave, his scooter springs a leak. Great, another repair bill. Suddenly, he notices a crowd of people staring up at the sky. He turns, confused by their strange, unified gaze. He looks up, wondering what could possibly be so interesting. A massive fleet of alien warships suddenly fills the sky. Xu Xiaowen can only stare, questioning if he's seeing a real spaceship. Their engines glow with an otherworldly power, a true sci-fi nightmare. The sheer scale of the fleet casts a shadow over the entire city. But high above, a lone figure stands atop the mothership. Our boy squints, realizing it's a humanoid creature watching them. The scene strikes him as strangely familiar, like a movie he's seen before. He calmly gets on his scooter, concluding it's just another alien invasion. You know, a typical Tuesday. Inside the association, the leadership debates if this is even their problem. A logistics secretary orders them to stand down and wait for the military. The alien fleet descends, a silent, menacing presence in the sky. Without warning, their weapons power up, unleashing a beam of pure destruction. The blast rips through the city, a fiery explosion that signals the start of a war. An agent on the ground can only watch as the city burns, confirming the attack. His subordinate panics, realizing the invaders are targeting civilians without mercy. But the logistics chief, Ning Ye, remains perfectly composed, a picture of calm in the chaos. He finally gives the order, mobilizing the cleanup section to join the fight. His subordinate is ordered to report the invasion to the highest levels of command. But Ning Ye has had enough of waiting, calling his subordinate to follow him. With a determined stride, the logistics chief heads directly into the war zone. He and his subordinate arrive before the highest authority in the association. The president greets them, his voice echoing with ancient power. In the chamber sit the vice presidents, the most powerful figures in the organization. There's Wang Zhenyan, a man whose face is a roadmap of past battles. Xuantian and Yue Hanbing, each a powerhouse in their own right. And Bao Dao, who seems completely unimpressed by the impending apocalypse. But the president, Zuoye Qianji, holds them back, insisting they wait. Ningyi's subordinate argues, pleading for them to join the fight against the invaders. The president's answer is simple. They must follow the process. Another man erupts, screaming that their bureaucracy will get everyone killed. But Wang Zhenyan argues this is a show of weapons, not psychic power. Ningyi's subordinate fires back, demanding special action for a special event. But Bao Dao just yawns, completely uninterested in their debate. Ye Hanbing calmly explains they must follow state orders to protect their standing. Fuantian erupts, scoffing at their fear and declaring he's ready to fight. But the president's cold glare is enough to silence the entire room. Shentin immediately backs down, his bravado gone in an instant. The subordinate is shocked by the outburst, calling it completely unrestrained. The 2 men bow, confirming they will wait for the official notification. And outside, the city continues to burn under the alien assault. Xu Xiaowen races through the streets, his scooter kicking up dust. He arrives to find his own neighborhood is now a pile of rubble. His expression is one of pure, unadulterated frustration. Elsewhere, Lin Miao Miao stomps her foot, furious about the lack of communication. But our boy can only stare up at the mothership hovering over his ruined home. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the alien vessel, the mood is far more sterile. A blue-haired woman in a white dress makes her way through the ship. She approaches a throne, ready to report to the alien commander. The great and powerful leader is busy slurping some instant noodles. He casually asks for a status update. Apparently, world domination can wait for lunch. His subordinate reports that their test data is incomplete. The commander is surprised. This is a first for their conquests. He looks out at the bridge, his interest suddenly piqued. A manic grin spreads across his face. This planet might be fun after all. Down below, amidst the dust and chaos, a hero prepares. Xu Xiaowen ties on his now infamous floral headscarf. He sighs, his perfectly planned work schedule now in ruins. His hard-earned peaceful life has been completely shattered. And worst of all, his 80-year retirement plan is in jeopardy. With a furious glare, he decides to handle this personally. A massive impact shakes the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. But his moment is interrupted by a familiar, frantic voice. The witness from the alleyway makes a less than graceful entrance. He clings to Xu Xiaowen's leg, calling him the headgear god. Our boy can only facepalm, insisting he's got the wrong guy. But the fanboy is certain, his eyes filled with tears of devotion. He declares that the hooded brother is the savior they've been waiting for. His delusion has apparently spawned a full-blown money-making cult. Priorities, right? The man looks up, his adoration for his new idol completely unwavering. Xu Xiaowen realizes he's just found his number one, very creepy fan. Xu Xiaowen tries to kick his new fan away, telling him to back off. But the man offers a business proposal. He'll make him a famous idol. Our boy is completely uninterested in the idea of fame. The fanboy insists he'll make him number one in the world. With a brutal grip, Xu Xiaowen explains that number one is not in his vocabulary, but his lecture is cut short as he spots a familiar face in the rubble. It's Wang Yik, looking completely bewildered by the chaotic scene. He calls out to her, asking for help hypnotizing his new stalker. But Xu Xiaowen panics, realizing his identity has somehow been compromised. And Wang Yik is completely starstruck, realizing she's met the legendary hooded god. He tries to explain his identity, but his ridiculous disguise only adds to her confusion. But up on the mothership, the alien commander is suddenly sent flying across the bridge. His subordinate reports a massive energy spike that vanished as quickly as it appeared. Enraged, the commander calls for his ultimate weapon to be brought online. A massive projectile is loaded, a final solution wrapped in warning tape. With a sadistic grin, he gives the order to fire, ready to obliterate the planet. The massive shell hurtles through the sky, a harbinger of total destruction. But down below, Xu Xiaowen grabs his two companions, pulling them to safety. He leaps through the air, narrowly avoiding the devastating projectile. The weapon screams past, its target just inches away from our reluctant hero. The weapon slams into the earth, unleashing a cataclysmic explosion. Back at headquarters, an agent screams that the enemy has attacked, begging for the order to engage. Another pleads with the president, insisting this is beyond what normal forces can handle. But on the monitor, a hand points to a lone figure emerging from the dust. The room falls into an awkward silence as they realize who it is. A silhouette stands amidst the devastation, carrying two others to safety. The dust settles, revealing Xu Xiaowen in his ridiculous disguise, looking more like a disgruntled babysitter than a hero. His expression is one of pure, unadulterated annoyance. So much for a quiet life. He looks around at the endless destruction, his shorts now torn from the blast. Wang Yik can only point in horror, her face bright red at his wardrobe malfunction. Xu Xiaowen tries to play it cool, telling himself it's no big deal. But Wang Yike is clearly flustered by the unexpected view. The embarrassment is quickly replaced by pure, unadulterated rage. First they destroyed his house, and now they've ruined his favorite shorts. This is the final straw. His peaceful life is officially over. He roars at the sky, declaring that someone is going to die today. But his dramatic declaration is met with complete silence. He looks up, wondering where the massive alien fleet has gone. Talk about a quick exit. The sky is suddenly clear, the sun shining as if nothing happened. Xu Xiaowen stands in the rubble, questioning how an entire invasion could just vanish. His expression darkens. His dignity now as tattered as his shorts. He tries to play it cool, but the accusation hangs heavy in the air. With a snap of his fingers, he decides to take matters into his own hands. A blinding light suddenly emanates from the problem area, a holy sensor bar, if you will. He proudly presents his solution to a blushing, overwhelmed Wang Yike. Nearby, his number one fan slowly begins to stir from his daze. His eyes snap open, the fog of confusion finally starting to clear. But instead of reality, he sees a divine vision of the god of headgear. The sheer holy presence is too much, and he promptly passes out. Xu Xiaowen realizes this guy's obsession is going to be a long-term problem. Wang Yike is completely overwhelmed by his holy sensor bar. Meanwhile, the association's cleanup crew rushes to the blast site. Xu Xiaowen realizes the authorities have arrived way too quickly. He panics, knowing that if he's caught, his quiet life is over. With no time to waste, he grabs Wang Yik to make their escape. They disappear into the dust, leaving the chaos behind them. The agents finally arrive, finding only one person at the scene. It's his number one fan, passed out with a look of pure ecstasy. Truly a man of culture. The scene then shifts to a quiet, modern office. Wenji's section chief sits at her desk, her attention on her laptop. Back at a temporary office, Lin Meow Meow taps her phone, her patience wearing thin. Her expression hardens, her focus absolute as she waits for news. But a sudden noise makes her leap to her feet, demanding to know who's there. She turns toward the living room, bracing for an unexpected intruder. A hand reaches out from a flash of brilliant, disorienting light. And Xu Xiaowen appears with Wang Yike, his holy sensor bar still very much active. Lin Meow Meow can only stare, sarcastically complimenting his dramatic entrance. Wang Yike explains their home was destroyed, asking where they'll stay now. Xu Xiaowen cheekily thanks Lin Meow Meow for having a fresh pair of pants ready for him. She explodes, yelling that his divine light fried every camera in the building. Xu Xiaowen offers a simple solution. They can all crash at his parents' place. But his true motive is financial. He's broke after having to return the rent. They arrive at a massive traditional estate in the heart of the city. Just then, another pair of unexpected guests arrives at the gate. Two women, one in a striking latex outfit, seem just as surprised to be there. The heavy wooden doors of the estate slowly swing open. A housekeeper greets them, his eyes filled with tears as he calls Xu Xiaowen young master. Our boy asks if his parents are home, revealing a past he's kept hidden. So much for being a humble delivery guy. He explains their situation, asking for temporary shelter for his friends. The housekeeper begs him not to run away again, hinting at a troubled family history. The flustered housekeeper asks him to repeat his request. He then rushes inside, shouting that the young master has finally returned. Xu Xiaowen is met by his parents, his father immediately questioning his sudden return. His mother's expression is cold, her disappointment seemingly palpable. But her stern act shatters as she leaps into his arms in a tearful reunion. She then notices his companions, happily assuming he's brought home two girlfriends. But one of the other unexpected guests is less than thrilled with that assumption. His parents are already naming the grandkids, moving at a truly terrifying speed. His mother then calmly tells him to get his friends settled for dinner. Xu Xiaowen can only sigh, realizing his parents are just as chaotic as he remembers. The scene shifts to the opulent interior of the family estate. Every detail speaks of old money and traditional power. One of the guests connects the dots, realizing who Xu Xiaowen's father is. The other confirms he's the chairman of a massive corporation. His mother excuses herself, claiming she needs to find something. Meanwhile, his father plays the perfect host, offering to get them anything they want. But Xu Xiaowen eyes his mother suspiciously, asking what she's really up to. She heads straight for a massive safe hidden in the wall. So much for a casual search. With a triumphant smile, she pulls out a small ornate box. His father wisely decides to check on the kitchen, leaving them to the chaos. The woman in latex offers a polite thanks to Xu Xiaowen's father. He smiles warmly, telling them to enjoy their chat. With a soft click, the heavy wooden doors slide shut, and the man immediately sprints away at an impossible speed. He finds his wife waiting for him in the kitchen. He asks if their preparations are finally complete. She holds up a small pouch, a sinister smile on her face. Its contents have already been released into the ventilation system. So much for a warm family reunion. They celebrate, certain their years of waiting are finally over. But Xu Xiaowen watches them, sensing something is very, very wrong. His parents insist this is all for his own good. A very aggressive form of parental love. The scene shifts back to the dinner table, the mood deceptively calm. Wang Yike is still in awe, realizing just how wealthy his family truly is. The other guest asks if he'll inherit it all, but he just brushes it off. He explains he has no business sense, and the will ensures the money is donated if he has no kids. He's terrified of accidentally becoming successful. The horror. The woman in latex can't tell if he's being serious or just messing with them. She points out his parents are already planning for the next generation. But Wang Yike can only think of her own sister, her expression turning sad. Suddenly, Xu Xiaowen's eyes narrow. He senses something in the air. A countdown begins as a strange mist fills the room. Xu Xiaowen warns the woman in latex to hold her breath, but she's already disoriented, questioning what's happening. Wang Yike also feels the effects, her vision blurring. He rushes to her side, trying to get her out of the room. The gas continues to pour from the vents, thick and heavy, but it's too late. Wang Yike's hand falls limp at her side. The world dissolves into a hazy, disorienting blur. He holds her close, realizing she's completely passed out. Suddenly, a strange purple energy erupts from the other guest. Looks like Mom and Dad's plan has a few variables. Wang Yike shoves him away, her power erupting in a violent purple wave. She begs him to stay back, her voice filled with panic. Overwhelmed by the strange energy, she struggles to maintain control. Xu Xiaowen realizes the gas is absorbed through the skin. His parents really spared no expense. She screams as her power surges, her hair flying wildly. The others can only watch as her ability goes completely berserk. The woman in latex warns that once this power explodes, it's irresistible. And just like that, she collapses, another victim of the psychic wave. Xu Xiaowen yells for Wang Yik to fight it, to not let the power control her. But she's lost, admitting she has no idea what's happening to her own body. The purple energy consumes Wang Yike, her body racked with power. Xu Xiaowen reaches out, his hand steady amidst the chaos. He offers to help, his expression calm and reassuring. He explains his plan is to knock her out to stop the rampage. But she panics, begging him to stay away from her. He just smiles, asking her to trust him in this moment. He pulls her into a tight embrace, promising he can control it. A massive wave of purple energy explodes from their contact, but a hidden camera captures every moment of the chaos. So much for privacy. With the energy finally contained, Wang Yike collapses to the floor. His parents and their housekeepers stare at the monitor, completely baffled. His mother questions what she just heard through the speakers. His father confirms it. The power belongs to a phantom. But his mother is confident her special charm will still work on their son. The housekeeper notes that their young master is in for a wild night. The phantom is a demon that seduces humans through illusions. They are masters of the dream world, feeding on their victims. And legend says any human who falls for their tricks will die. So, this was Mom's grand plan. Back in the garden, Xu Xiaowen and the woman in latex stand in the moonlight. She senses something is wrong, a new danger in the air. Xu Xiaowen confirms they're now trapped inside Wang Yike's illusion. But the woman in latex seems intrigued by this strange new world. She asks how he managed to escape Wang Yihan's illusion before. They walk through the dreamscape, a world born from a phantom's power. She questions the true extent of his strength, clearly impressed. But her curiosity quickly turns to frustration. He stops dead in his tracks, causing a rather undignified collision. She clutches her nose, demanding to know why he stopped. So much for a graceful dream walk. He asks if she's grown tired of this little charade yet. She questions his sudden change in demeanor, finding it out of character. He smirks, suggesting that since they're stuck, they might as well have a little chat. Meow Meow deflects, insisting they need to find Yike before this illusion gets any worse. He drops a cryptic warning about staring into the abyss, clearly enjoying her discomfort. She scolds him for eavesdropping on her thoughts, confirming he can read her mind. Our hero calls her out, claiming her inner monologue is so loud he can't ignore it. A Chibi Meow Meow furiously demands he stop, completely exposed and embarrassed. She grabs his shirt, threatening him not to repeat a single word of what he's heard. He leans in closer, completely unimpressed by her empty threats and flustered face. With a single push, he pins her down, calling her bluff with a confident smirk. She glares back, warning him that he has no idea what she's truly capable of. She explains her ambition, willing to do anything to climb the ladder. Xu Xiaowen finds her do-whatever-it-takes attitude rather interesting. He walks on, claiming to know the secrets of many powerful people, but he dismisses them as meaningless whispers, not true secrets. She points to a light, thinking Wang Yike is there, but he holds her back. They stand before a glowing staircase, the heart of the illusion. He explains that no matter what they do, they're trapped here. She questions the illusion's complexity, thinking it's only level 3. A classic underestimation. But Xu Xiaowen reveals this is far beyond a simple level 3 trap. He concludes that Wang Yike is much more powerful than they ever imagined. The illusion shifts, painting a scene of a moonlit estate. Grand pillars and balconies rise from the hazy, ethereal dream. Suddenly, they're in a vast hall, where Wang Yike kneels alone. Xu Xiaowen seems disappointed by the simple design of her dream castle, but he admits the understated style fits her personality perfectly. His companion notes that only a madman could be this calm right now. To escape, they'll have to delve deeper into her subconscious. But the master of this dream is already one step ahead of them. The woman in latex realizes with a start that Wang Yike is awake, and she rises, no longer a victim, but the queen of her own world. The woman in latex questions how they can fight an enemy who won't attack, but Wang Yike stands before them, the silent, powerful master of this world. Xu Xiaowen corrects her. The game has already begun. His companion is completely lost, unable to see the hidden threat. With a subtle gesture, Wang Yike beckons them forward into her trap. Her eyes open, golden and filled with a newfound, dangerous confidence. The woman in latex is still baffled by this silent invitation. Xu Xiaowen explains the grim reality. The phantom has chosen its prey, and it's him. But his companion dismisses the idea, calling Wang Yike too simple for such a scheme. That word again, simple. and Xu Xiaowen knows she's dangerously wrong. His companion realizes the true nature of the creature before them. Xu Xiaowen decides to walk right into the lion's den. She tries to stop him, her voice filled with alarm. She grabs his arm, begging him to be careful in this dangerous world. But he just flashes a confident grin, telling her not to worry. She tries to reason with him, listing the dangers of this dream. She questions if he truly understands the consequences of his actions. He calmly replies that the worst that can happen is death. You know, no big deal. His nonchalance leaves her stunned, questioning his sanity. He looks up at the phantom, completely unfazed by her seductive display. The phantom opens her arms, a silent invitation to embrace her. But Xu Xiaowen just stands there, completely unimpressed by the display. He steps forward, closing the distance between them, and without hesitation, he pulls her into a close embrace. He whispers to her, telling her not to force herself to do this. Her golden eyes widen, his words cutting through the illusion. Her hand tightens on his jacket, a sign of her inner turmoil. She rises on her toes, closing the final gap between them. And in the heart of the dream, the phantom claims her prize. His companion can only watch in shock, her mind completely blown. The woman in latex realizes this situation is spiraling out of control. She watches as Xu Xiaowen holds the phantom, now wrapped in white feathers. But he's trying to break the illusion, urging Wang Yike to stay focused. His companion, however, completely misreads the situation, exploding with rage. But Wang Yike's golden eyes are fixed on him, the phantom's power still in control. Convinced he's a predator, she lunges forward to attack him. She fumes, convinced all men are the same when a pretty face is involved. She gathers her own strange energy, preparing to intervene with force. Her trust in him is completely shattered, her disappointment turning to fury. Back in the control room, his father cheers them on. A truly dedicated wingman, she unleashes her own strange power, ready to save the day. But Xu Xiaowen screams for her to get out of the way. A massive beam of energy rips through the dreamscape. But she's furious, accusing him of trying to escape her. She scoffs, dismissing the phantom as a mere level 3 threat. Famous last words, but the dream world itself issues a silent final warning. A massive explosion erupts from the ground beneath her. She's stunned as Xu Xiaowen pulls her from the blast zone. He carries her through the dust, his expression grim. He asks if she finally understands why he told her to move. He explains that attack would have been fatal in the real world. His companion can only look down, the reality of the danger sinking in. But the phantom declares that anyone who gets in her way will die. The woman in latex questions his assessment of Wang Yike's power. She insists she almost broke the illusion all by herself. Sure she did. She then accuses him of trying to break it with a kiss. Xu Xiaowen explains that now the phantom is wary of them. She brings up his easy victory over Wang Yihan's illusion. But he explains this dream is like quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. He knows she and her sister are complete opposites in every way. He explains that while one sister uses rain to create illusions, the other uses thorns to build a cage. And the phantom rises, her power manifesting as a thorny prison. But Xu Xiaowen remains completely unfazed by the display. The dreamscape shifts, trapping them in a hall of thorns. His companion realizes the phantom is trying to lock them in for good, but Xu Xiaowen calmly advises her not to move. Classic overconfident hero pose. She suggests reading the phantom's mind to find a way out. But our boy explains he's already tried. This isn't Wang Yike, just a shell. The phantom's cold gaze confirms it. Mind reading is useless here. His companion is completely lost, questioning his talk of a hidden door. He explains the thorns are a test of trust. Resistance marks them as an enemy. But as the vines bind her, she panics, asking what happens if he's wrong. Xu Xiaowen is unfazed, claiming he's accepted his fate. A very reassuring partner. But she's not ready to die, lamenting her unpurchased leather boots. The phantom's gaze is cold, her will shaping this thorny prison. She turns away as a massive sphere of thorns engulfs her captive. The woman in latex is now completely trapped, left to her fate. But a sudden crack appears on the phantom's perfect porcelain skin. The illusion begins to shatter, the thorny prison crumbling at her feet. The thorny prison dissolves into a swarm of purple butterflies. The cage of vines peels back, revealing a new world within the dream. Xu Xiaowen and his companion stand in the opening, the illusion shifting. She can only stare, stunned that his gamble actually paid off. They step into a barren wasteland, a desolate new layer of the dream. Xu Xiaowen wonders what horrors Wang Yike has endured to create this. His companion reveals she's researched the Wang clan's history. She explains their leadership is based on birthright, not power. And for centuries, the clan has known nothing but absolute loyalty. But Xu Xiaowen has a theory, based on how they've treated Yike. His companion asks him to explain his grim theory. He theorizes that Wang Yike was always an outcast in her own family. He suggests the clan sacrifices its other children for the sake of the heir. With a cold glare, he condemns their feudal, deadly traditions. Just then, they find Wang Yike crouched in the desolate dreamscape. His companion points her out, stating the obvious with dramatic flair. The two stand on opposite sides of the wasteland, a silent standoff. He realizes she's trapped in a second, deeper layer of her own illusion, and the longer she stays, the more damage it will do to her mind. But she suddenly moves, hurling a nearby can with incredible force. His companion is completely stunned by the sudden violent shift in the dream. Her eyes widen as she realizes the true danger they're now facing. Xu Xiaowen dodges the projectile, annoyed by this sudden aggression. The dreamscape erupts as they're forced into a desperate fight for survival. He decides there's only one way out: find and exploit her weakness. His companion prepares for battle, the ground cracking beneath her feet. She dashes forward with incredible speed, a blur of motion across the wasteland. She unleashes a powerful kick, aiming to end this fight herself. But Xu Xiaowen intercepts the blow, stopping her attack cold. He sends her flying, clearly not a fan of her reckless strategy. She lands hard, skidding across the desolate ground. But she's already pushing off, launching herself back into the fight. She unleashes another powerful kick, determined to end this her way. But once again, Xu Xiaowen's arm intercepts the blow. The force sends him sliding back, but he holds his ground. He realizes she's a natural fighter, her body moving on pure instinct. He wonders aloud if her sister ever saw this hidden, deadly talent. But she ignores his words, spinning into another sweeping attack. Apparently, she's not much for conversation. This time, the kick connects squarely with his side. The impact is brutal, a testament to her raw, untrained power. She follows up with another powerful kick, but Xu Xiaowen just watches. Her eyes are blank, a puppet controlled by a deeper instinct. His companion can only stare, completely baffled by this turn of events. The Phantom identifies her as a threat, an intruder to be eliminated. But Xu Xiaowen realizes the Phantom's true, very specific target. His companion comes to a slightly different, more personal conclusion. The Phantom ignores Xu Xiaowen, charging straight for her new rival. He understands. Unable to beat him, she's decided to eliminate the competition. But Lin Miao Miao refuses to be seen as a damsel in distress. She's tired of being told to run, ready to prove she's no liability. Xu Xiaowen can only watch, frustrated by this turn of events. But Lin Miao Miao digs in her heel, ready to charge. Xu Xiaowen sprints forward, trying to get between them. He leaps into the air, declaring himself the Phantom's true opponent. He screams Wang Yike's name, hoping to break through the illusion. But the Phantom ignores him, gathering a wave of destructive energy. She unleashes the blast, and Xu Xiaowen throws himself in its path. He screams for her to stop, his voice lost in the roaring power. He's completely engulfed in the swirling vortex of phantom energy. The blast consumes him, a hero's sacrifice in a dream world. But the blast transports him to a serene, sunlit clearing. He looks around, questioning this third layer of the illusion. He crouches in the grass, looking out at the endless mountains. He admits to himself that this is a difficult trap to break. Our boy is genuinely surprised by Wang Yike's hidden power. He scoffs, impressed by the Phantom's creative imprisonment. But back in the wasteland, Lin Miao Miao screams for Wang Yike. With Xu Xiaowen gone, she launches her own furious attack, because kicking a psychic problem always works. Her powerful kick shatters the ground, a desperate show of force. But she freezes, realizing Xu Xiaowen has completely vanished. Lin Miao Miao is furious, questioning how Wang Yike is using more than just hypnosis. She stares at the Phantom, wondering how she can manifest new abilities in this dream world. But a sudden realization hits her, a confident smirk spreading across her face. She remembers a key detail about psychic illusions. The creator can manifest any power they can imagine. And more importantly, anyone else trapped inside gains the same reality-bending ability. Lin Miao Miao realizes the playing field has just been leveled, a critical detail she'd almost forgotten. With a confident smile, she prepares to fight fire with, well, whatever she wants. But a moment of hesitation stops her cold. She's suddenly paralyzed by choice, unsure which superpower to manifest first. Truly, a terrible time for indecisiveness. But the Phantom isn't waiting, lunging forward to eliminate her rival. The Phantom unleashes a powerful slash, tearing the ground asunder. Lin Miao Miao panics, realizing she's still not ready for this fight. With a furious cry, the Phantom lunges forward, her attack glowing. In a desperate move, Lin Miao Miao tries to manifest a defensive wall. The Phantom's attack crashes against a newly formed hexagonal shield. Lin Meow Meow is relieved, thanking her high school chemistry teacher for the inspiration. But the Phantom just switches tactics, unleashing a massive wave of fire. The fiery blast slams into the shield, which begins to crack and melt. Her hastily constructed defense dissolves into a gooey, useless mess. Lin Meow Meow leaps away, furious at the relentless, scorching assault. Lin Meow Meow screams, desperately trying to break through to the real Wang Yike. But the Phantom just smirks, cutting her off with a single dismissive word. The dream world devolves into a chibi argument over bonus deductions. Because of course it does. Done with the games, the Phantom manifests a new power from thin air. She summons a massive water dragon, its roar echoing through the dream. The beast gathers a devastating blast, ready to obliterate its target. Lin Meow Meow is thrown back, barely blocking the watery assault. The Phantom looms over her, savoring this moment of absolute victory. She then unleashes a swirling vortex of fire and water, and their epic psychic battle turns into a full-blown anime reference. Lin Meow Meow summons a massive battle axe, ready to bring this fight to a brutal end. The axe slams down, the impact sending a shockwave across the dreamscape. But the Phantom emerges from the dust, her eyes glowing with rage. Lin Meow Meow realizes they're both exhausted, locked in a pointless stalemate. She admits that at this rate their fight will never end. So she changes tactics, questioning the Phantom's true desire to win. The question seems to hit a nerve, causing the Phantom to falter. Lin Meow Meow then proposes a high-stakes gamble to settle things. A very healthy coping mechanism. The Phantom hesitates, her expression a mix of anger and uncertainty. With a confident smile, Lin Meow Meow asks if she's willing to bet her life on the outcome. The dreamscape shifts, becoming a high-stakes gambling room. Lin Meow Meow lays out the rules for a game of rock, paper, scissors. The winner will be decided by the best 2 out of 3 rounds. She smirks, confident the Phantom understands the simple rules. She declares this will be a contest of pure luck, a bold move. The Phantom accepts the challenge, her expression completely blank. With a practiced hand, Lin Meow Meow shuffles the cards. Her eyes narrow, her focus entirely on the game before her. She draws her hand, the first round officially underway. Across the table, the Phantom waits, her gaze cold and unreadable. With a delicate flick of her wrist, Lin Meow Meow selects her card. The Phantom mirrors the action, her own choice hidden from view. The 2 women face off across the table, a silent, deadly challenge. Lin Meow Meow analyzes the odds, realizing the game is perfectly balanced. The Phantom gives a silent nod, ready to begin their high-stakes match. But Lin Meow Meow has a plan, banking on Wang Yike's conservative nature. With a confident cry, she throws down her first card, making her move. The Phantom calmly places her own card, meeting the challenge without hesitation. The cards are revealed, Lin Meow Meow's paper against the Phantom's rock. But the Phantom's cold voice declares victory, twisting the rules of her own world. Lin Meow Meow's eyes narrow, realizing the Phantom is just making up the rules as she goes. The Phantom taunts her, asking if she's scared now that the game is on the line. Furious, Lin Meow Meow slams her cards down, demanding they finish this. In the second round, she throws down her card, declaring she's playing rock. The Phantom calmly plays scissors, easily taking the second point. But in the third round, Lin Meow Meow's paper finally beats the Phantom's rock. She breathes a sigh of relief, a glowing sigil on her chest as she finally scores a point. The Phantom's gaze remains cold and empty, completely unmoved by the turn of events. With the score now tied, Lin Meow Meow challenges her to the final deciding round. A confident smirk spreads across her face as she prepares to play her final card, scissors. But Lin Meow Meow plays her next card, confidently declaring it's rock. The cards are revealed and both women have played paper. Lin Meow Meow breathes a sigh of relief, confident in her strategy. But the Phantom calmly declares the round a draw, resetting the board. Lin Meow Meow lays out the odds, admitting the Phantom has a better hand. The Phantom questions how she can read her moves in this illusion. Lin Meow Meow just taunts her, refusing to reveal her secret. A true professional poker face. The Phantom holds her card, her blank expression hiding her confusion. She's baffled by Lin Meow Meow's confidence, certain this game is pure luck. But Lin Meow Meow just smirks, asking if she's really just pretending. The Phantom questions how Lin Meow Meow can possibly read her mind. But Lin Meow Meow just offers a sly, knowing smile. She explains that in a real gamble, you have to read your opponent's every move. The Phantom draws her next card, her expression still a perfect mask. Lin Meow Meow declares her move, confidently calling out rock. The Phantom counters, claiming she's playing scissors. But Lin Meow Meow slams the table, revealing her true play was paper all along. Her eyes widen, her expression a perfect picture of feigned shock. a true master of the game. The cards are revealed. Her paper easily beats the Phantom's rock. The Phantom is completely stunned, wondering how she could have been so easily read. The Phantom realizes the entire tense act was a complete bluff. Lin Miao Miao stands victorious, her high-stakes gamble having paid off. The Phantom lets out a hollow laugh, the game now officially over. Lin Miao Miao finally relaxes, admitting the Phantom had her scared. She looks down at her opponent, ready to collect on their bet. But the Phantom needs to know how she was so easily outplayed. Lin Miao Miao just smirks, claiming it was nothing but a lucky guess. A likely story. The Phantom erupts, refusing to believe in such impossible luck. Lin Miao Miao invites her to think back on how the game truly played out. She explains it was all psychology, exploiting a novice's predictable moves and using verbal cues to manipulate her choices. She explains how she used verbal cues to plant suggestions in the Phantom's mind. But she plays it cool, claiming it all came down to being luckier. She celebrates her win, conveniently forgetting her life was on the line. The Phantom slumps over the table, completely and utterly defeated. With a triumphant shout, Lin Miao Miao declares her victory. She orders the Phantom to bring Xu Xiaowen back and release them. But with blank eyes, the Phantom admits she's unable to do so. That's because our boy is currently taking a nap in a peaceful meadow. He's completely oblivious, lost in a deep and snot-bubbled slumber. But his peaceful rest is disturbed, and one eye cracks open with annoyance. He wakes up, annoyed that Lin Miao Miao hasn't freed them yet. He'd hoped to just sleep through this whole ordeal. But it seems he'll have to break this illusion on his own. The gentle sound of a wind chime catches his attention. He looks up, his expression shifting with curiosity. A young girl, a memory of Wang Yike, reaches for the chime. Her golden eyes are filled with an innocent, desperate longing. He watches the memory play out, offering to get it for her. The young girl turns to him, her expression hesitant, but then a warm, trusting smile spreads across her face. With a gentle touch, he plucks the wind chime from the branch. He kneels before the young girl, offering her the simple gift. He then asks the child if she's out here all by herself, but she just smiles, pointing to where her family is waiting. Xu Xiaowen's expression shifts as he follows her gaze. He sees a memory of a seemingly perfect family in the distance. A younger Wang Yihan runs up, asking her sister if it's time to go home. She chatters excitedly about the new clothes their mother bought them. It's a sweet, innocent moment between two loving sisters. A moment that clearly didn't last. And Wang Yike offers her new treasure to her sister, so she can have a gift too. The young girl thanks him for his help before saying goodbye. Xu Xiaowen watches her, his expression thoughtful and serene. The two sisters then run off together down the sunlit path. He watches as they vanish into a brilliant, ethereal light. He stands alone in the clearing, the memory now faded. He realizes this perfect family is what Wang Yike truly desires. He questions how her power is so much greater than her sister's, yet she's only ranked level 3. He wonders if this idyllic memory is the cage that truly holds her. A prison made of happiness. The scene shifts, and a hand opens a wooden drawer. It reaches deep inside, searching for something hidden within. A hand pulls a photograph from its simple wooden frame. Back in the real world, Wang Yihan holds the empty frame, her expression unreadable. The photo reveals the truth. A happy Yihan and a timid, neglected Yike. A sudden snap of fingers breaks the heavy silence. An attendant appears, announcing visitors who wish to see her younger sister. Wang Yihan carefully places the photograph back in its hiding spot. She walks toward the door, her decision already made. With a cold glare, she agrees to handle the visitors herself. Meanwhile, back in the dream, the Phantom admits she can't honor their bet. Lin Miao Miao leans in, questioning why the master of this world can't fulfill her promise. Lin Miao Miao demands the Phantom end the illusion, reminding her she's the master here. But the Phantom just looks down, quietly admitting she can't. The answer sends Lin Miao Miao into a full-blown rage. She grabs the Phantom by the collar, her patience completely gone. The force of her anger cracks the table beneath them. She accuses Wang Yike of faking her simple nature, questioning if this was all a lie. But the Phantom just cries, insisting she's powerless to stop this. Lin Miao Miao is completely exasperated, wondering what she's supposed to do now. But as the Phantom repeats her plea, a strange red energy begins to form. The ominous power swirls around them, a sign that this dream is far from over. Lin Miao Miao is stunned as the red energy erupts behind the Phantom. The vortex consumes the Phantom whole, dragging her into the unknown. Lying on the floor, the Phantom repeats her desperate, powerless plea. She insists she can't end this, trapped by a force beyond her control. The scene shifts back to the real world, inside the Wang clan estate. An impatient hand taps against a wooden chair, the silence deafening. A man with glasses waits, his expression growing colder by the minute. He notes with annoyance that the matriarch has kept him waiting far too long. An attendant explains she wasn't expecting visitors, asking for his patience. He internally complains about their lack of manners, truly the nerve of some people. Wang Yihan finally enters, addressing the butler with casual authority. She turns to the visitor, her expression a mix of curiosity and suspicion. The man states his purpose. He's here to see her younger sister. But Wang Yihan claims her sister is asleep, an excuse he doesn't seem to buy. She settles in, feigning ignorance and asking him to clarify his doubts. He explains the rumors of Wang Yike's involvement with the association. This creates a political problem, as both families serve a higher power. He insists on a face-to-face meeting to clear the air. So much for a friendly visit. Wang Yihan finds his choice of words a bit too aggressive for her taste. He claims he's just trying to ease the concerns of his own clan's leader. With a sharp snap, Wang Yihan's hand hits the chair, her patience gone. She explains a convenient family tradition about pre-wedding meetings. If they insist on breaking the rules, she'll simply terminate the marriage contract. The visitor is completely stunned by her sudden, aggressive ultimatum. With a cold glare, she orders her unwelcome guest to be shown the door. The man turns to the butler, questioning this sudden hostility. He tries to play the peacekeeper, suggesting their families should be allies. But Wang Yihan accuses his clan of slander and breaking their traditions. She questions if his family was ever truly sincere about the marriage. She then implies his family might have other, more sinister motives. The visitor is stunned as he's accused of betraying his own lord. He quickly proclaims his family's unwavering loyalty, trying to save face. But internally, he seethes, accusing Wang Yihan of slander. She turns his words back on him, questioning her own family's loyalty. He immediately backtracks, deciding it's best to leave before he digs a deeper hole. Wang Yihan watches him flee, her victory in this political game absolute. Meanwhile, Lin Miao Miao is pulled into a swirling vortex of energy, but a powerful hand grabs her, surrounded by crackling lightning. She cries out as she's yanked from the chaotic dreamscape. A new figure holds her, offering a smug and very familiar greeting. Lin Miao Miao lands hard, calling out Xu Xiaowen's name in confusion. She asks if he's finally managed to break them out of the illusion, but he corrects her. He's the one who pulled her in deeper. He gestures to their new surroundings, asking if she recognizes the place. Her eyes widen as she identifies the Wang family mansion. The impossible scene leaves her completely and utterly bewildered. She asks which layer of the dream they've been pulled into now. Xu Xiaowen reveals it's a third level, one even Wang Yike doesn't know exists. The revelation sends a jolt of pure shock through Lin Miao. Miao. She's stunned, admitting she's never heard of such a powerful illusionist. He explains this hidden layer wasn't made by Wang Yike, but for her. He admits he doesn't know who created it, but finding Lin Miao Miao was a challenge. He describes this secret level as a perfect, happy fairyland. In this world, Wang Yike was confident and cheerful, a complete opposite of herself. But Lin Miao Miao feels dizzy, overwhelmed by the dream's strange atmosphere. Xu Xiaowen, however, is completely unaffected by the illusion's power. He decides they must find a way out, worried about their vulnerable bodies. Back in the real world, the room is quiet, the scene deceptively calm. The housekeeper stands over their 3 unconscious forms on the floor. With a nervous blush, he apologizes for what he's about to do. Looks like the family plan is still a go. The housekeeper grabs his young master's wrist, lamenting his refusal to grow up. He declares he must help secure the family's 100-year foundation. He carefully arranges Xu Xiaowen's hand next to the unconscious women. With the scene set, he declares his part and this is now done. He drapes Xu Xiaowen's arm over Lin Miao Miao, completing the setup. The housekeeper weeps, certain his master will be grateful later. A truly dedicated wingman. But back in the dream, Xu Xiaowen gets a very bad feeling. He explains how he was pulled into this second level, a hidden prison. He theorizes that Wang Yike's weak will has left this space vulnerable, and now this cage within a cage is being invaded by a stronger presence. He explains this invading force gave him a glimpse into the dream's secrets. He believes Wang Yike's true self was fighting back, but was overwhelmed. Lin Miao Miao muses that Yike's harsh life created a deep longing for beauty, but he sees the cruelty in creating a perfect heavenly world just to trap her. He calls it a twisted, deeply personal form of revenge. Lin Miao Miao dismisses it as typical noble family drama. He explains he found her when the invasion destabilized the dream world. A momentary crack in the illusion was all the opening he needed. But she's confused, questioning why this is a third level at all. He explains the other dream collapsed, pulling them both into this new space. Lin Miao Miao asks if he managed to defeat the Phantom. She recalls the Phantom's desperate plea about not being able to end the second level. But a sudden realization hits her. A new theory taking shape. She realizes the phantom couldn't end the illusion at all, not just one part of it. Xu Xiaowen confirms her theory. The phantom was unaware of this hidden third layer. She kept her promise but sent Lin Miao Miao deeper into the dream instead of out. Lin Miao Miao knows they have to escape, worried about the spiritual toll. She fears that if they stay too long, they'll be absorbed completely. A truly terrible way to go.